All right, welcome to the public board meeting of April 29th, 2025. Thank you to those joining us in the room and thank you to those joining us online today. And as we begin, we would just like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Indigenous peoples of the Treaty 7 region and Métis Nation of Alberta. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all First Peoples of Canada whose presence continues to enrich our community. Thank you, I appreciate that. All right, first on we have our consent agenda. Are there any items that trustees would like moved off of the consent agenda? Allison.
The budget committee, please, report.
Okay. Trustee Allison has requested 3.2 budget committee be moved from the consent agenda, and we will move that on. Yes, 9.5 board chair reports or information items, which we don't actually have an information. It's number 14. Oh. Sure, 9.5. Okay, are there any other items on the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, we have approval of the agenda. We do have one item to add to the agenda, and that will be 11.7, non-union staff. Are there any other? Allison.
I just have a question for clarification. I know making an agenda is always difficult.
Sorry, can you just talk closer to your mic? I'm just having a hard time hearing. Thank you.
I know that making an agenda is difficult, and so I'm just looking for some clarification on a piece in regards to presentations. So are you able to provide some information of how you prioritize presentations and how we choose which presentations that we do when we do them?
Typically, it is often held in the order with which we receive the submission. So if we have approved submissions and they filled the time, so we have 3 presentations, that's 45 minutes of time, then they may be deferred to the following month.
Okay, I just have a couple of questions. So one is in regards to usually during celebrations, we acknowledge our provincial champions. And I'm just curious, maybe they, just for clarity, maybe they didn't want to come for this month, but I know that the ICSS Eagles were provincial champions for basketball, and we haven't had an opportunity to provide them their presentation. So I was just curious for that. And then also my understanding for career transitions, I thought that they were going to be presenting this month, and knowing that it's a budgetary implication, looking at prioritizing for them to be presenting after budget on May 27th, when we potentially may have made a budgetary decision already. I think when we look at the prioritization piece is important, so I was just looking for some clarity around that.
Certainly. I was not aware of a manual, and so of course we can add them on to the next month. I have spoken to career transitions, and when a space was requested, I did let them know that April is getting full, and we confirmed these. The ones that are in this month's agenda, and they very readily accepted a spot in May. And so certainly I do invite conversation of this before a public meeting as well. When you see the agenda, certainly we can have these conversations as well.
Okay. And then can I just add as well that we, from ICSS, there is also somebody else that I think that we should have come forward who also won in March. She's a Special Olympic World Winter Champion, Mariah Vantland. So I think if we could recognize her as well during the presentations for the next month would be fabulous. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Allison. Are there any other comments around the agenda, additions to the agenda? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve. Andrea, those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And we have approval of the minutes for the regular board meeting of March 25, 2025. You've all had time to look over the minutes. Are there any amendments needed to those minutes? Allison.
Just had a question brought forward, and I'm just looking for some clarification. I don't see it on the agenda. On item number 11.1, approval of school fees, in the minutes, it says that it will be presented at our April board meeting. So just the public had been brought forward to me that they don't see it on our agenda for this month. So if there's some reason that it's not on our agenda, if that can be clarified as it is in our minutes. So thank you.
Yeah, we have in our in-camera meeting, board discussion on fees is there. And so prior to putting it on this agenda, we wanted to have that conversation. We have not reached that conversation yet. And so it is not on this board agenda. I'm looking for a motion to approve. Craig, those in favor? And that's carried. All right, we are now looking at our second set of minutes. We had a special board meeting on April 15, 2025. You've all had time to look at the minutes of this meeting. I'm open to, are there any need for amendment to these minutes? Allison.
Sorry for being the pain in the side. I do not believe that item number 1 should be a part of these minutes of the special meeting of the board.
Okay, I will open that up to discussion.
It was on the, this was on the posted agenda that went out to the public, that this committee, the whole session was occurring, and then it was going in camera. So we did called the meeting to order, and then we went in, we actually had the committee, the whole learning session.
Yeah. Thank you. Allison.
Okay, so then I would, the minutes then don't reflect that because the minutes say that at 3:33 that Christine Light called the special meeting to order at 3:33. The committee of the whole was not part of the special meeting agenda, and it was a committee of the whole meeting at 3 o'clock, and that the special meeting, just as it states here, was called to order at 3:33.
It was on the agenda. Okay.
I don't think it was on the special meeting agenda. The conversation is related to committee of the whole. Is committee of the whole part of a special meeting or not? You could make arguments there. That particular committee of the whole meeting was a learning session, and we weren't moving forward something that could be a motion or board business or anything like that. It was just a learning session, and so that's why there is the delineation there. And so, you know, personally, unless people felt strongly, I would be personally, just I'm giving you my opinion, I'd be comfortable with not having it on there. I don't think it, and I think the goal is to keep sort of the two concepts separate. We do need to talk about, there's a little bit of overlap between where is committee of the whole and where is special board meeting. So that is an area that I think we need to grapple with a little bit. And I think the goal is to keep those two concepts separate. So I personally, I wouldn't be opposed to it unless somebody else was opposed to it. I don't feel.
It was on the agenda. So I'm looking for, okay. So is that are you making a motion, Allison, to remove that? Do we need a motion to remove that?
I'm not making a motion to remove it. I can make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of the Board of Trustees held on April 15th with the removal of item 1.
Okay, so Allison has made that motion. Those in favor of that motion? And those opposed? Okay, that's carried. So now we go to the original motion. Oh, sorry, defeated. Thank you, it was defeated. My apologies. Okay. They were for that motion. Yeah, now we move to the original motion. I need a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Jenny?
I think maybe where we're getting caught up on it is the title is, this is the minutes from the special meeting. So either you need two separate minutes and you need minutes like, so committee of the whole isn't part of the special meeting, right?
It was when it was posted as a special meeting on the website and on social media publicly, the item number 1 was part of the agenda.
So why
So
don't
that's
we,
what was posted. And
Why
I
don't
think
we
that's
have
where,
the-
so I think the confusion is coming. It was posted as part of the agenda of the special meeting that was published. But
so-
then in this meeting, it says, I called the special meeting to order at 3:33, and then we moved into camera. So that's where
so really didn't you just call the special meeting at 3 then and then you moved into camera at 3:33? Because
Mike.
this is called the minutes of the special meeting, but it's more than that.
Mike and then Christina.
Yeah, the agenda says 3 PM, number 1, committee of the whole learning session, then it says 3:30 PM, special meeting, move into camera. So the intention was to have the two separate, but maybe because they're on the same document, it wasn't that way, but that was certainly the intention.
Thank you. I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes. Tyler, those in favor? And those opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. All right, there's no business arising from the minutes, and so now we move on to our Associate Superintendent reports, 7.1, Business and Operations. Christine.
Thank you. So April, exciting. This happened late last month, but Daniel Heaton and myself were invited to Coalbanks Elementary School. They were working on school designs, if I were to build a school, and working on design concepts and you know, building their school from squares and whatnot, and they did logos and had themes and names and that stuff. And so we got to see some of their work. And this is what we do when we're building in concept design. We start with pieces, square blocks of paper, sometimes paper or blocks or whatever when we're trying to design. So they were doing real world examples of trying to design a school. We visited the 4 classes. This is grade 4, 5s. And then we had an opportunity to gather in the gym and talk a little bit about what happens in a construction project. And Daniel did a kind of an exercise, a science exercise, to show them a little bit about structure, which was really fascinating. But the kids had really great questions. I had one of the last questions I was asked. The kid asked a question, and it was interesting because he probably heard this conversation around the dinner table. How much are taxes are going to the building of the new school? And so it was I said to him, well, frankly, I really don't know, but I'll tell you how we are funded for a school, and it's made up of taxes and general revenues and things like that. And so they stumped me. That was kind of a fun question. Of course, the ICE scholarship event was fantastic, and so there's some pictures from that event, and that's there. West Cooley Station still plugging along. They're in the finishing stages where they're doing a lot of that finishing work. And so this is some pictures. These were from last month. I'll be hopefully out there tomorrow and get some more updated pictures. But the grand staircase is, it's there and it's got great shape. And of course, I always love the mechanical room. And so I take pictures of the mechanical room because it is the heart and engine of the school. So that's kind of there. The budget, we're in the process of the budget, working through that. And of course, our plan is to present the draft budget to the public on May 20th. And so that is the next kind of milestone for the public to watch out for. And one of the new things that we're doing in purchasing, of course, we're always out to try and save money wherever we can. So we've joined the Canoe Procurement Group of Canada. It is a government buying group that gets us discounts on certain commodities. They also have access to 390 plus vendor contracts. And so that makes it easier for us to source and purchase without having, in some cases, to actually go through a tender process. And so that we're required to do under Alberta purchasing regulations, depending on the value. So it saves us a lot of time and money. So there's a little bit about Canoe in there, because I know Craig had asked about it last time. Technology, they're currently, of course, heavily working on renovations for Vic Park's third floor, planning the technology that needs to go in there, Winston Churchill's welding shop project, and the 2 portals that will go in attached to Coalbanks this summer. Our teachers at West Cooley Station, they're actually going to get a tour of the new school on Friday, and they'll get a chance to choose their preferred teaching desk location. When we develop a classroom in a brand new school, teaching desks, we have 2 corners we usually put the power to, and so they'll get a chance to pick the one they want so that they can then appropriately hook things up for their teaching desk position. We're, busy. Our wireless access points are starting to age out a little bit. And so we're doing some troubleshooting with some of those things. And there is some warranty status that we're looking into. And is there something causing them to malfunction? So the team is working on that. And we are looking at May 1st. It's interesting. We will no longer be able to purchase Apple devices directly from Apple. And so you have to go through Apple-approved third-party procurement company. And so we're not sure what that means for cost, but we have found Simply, and that's the company we'll be going through. And then what's really exciting is that Epson did a case study on Lethbridge School Division, and particularly the esports competition and tournament we held last year. And so if you click on that link, when you're on the electronic copy, you can see the case study there. In transportation, we have officially announced in line with the government's new changes to distanced eligibility, the kindergarten grade 6 change from 1 kilometer, 1.6 kilometers, starting in September 2025. And so that's for information there. We did have I had about 5 to maybe 6 emails related to concerns with the distancing, mainly because of childcare. And Cheryl Shambashi took a few, but it wasn't overwhelmingly an outcry, but some concerns that were raised. And I'm sure trustees received a few emails as well. But one of the things that we are really promoting with our schools is the School Travel Planning a Safe Pathways to Schools initiative. The City of Lethbridge has received a grant to be a part of this initiative. We've already started with Nicholas Sharon and Senator Buchanan, who've participated, and then we're looking to get as many elementary schools as possible involved. There's a working group committee, and I believe Allison's on that committee as part of her work with AMA. And this is really timely with when we're changing the distance, because what City of Lethbridge and this committee do, they go in, they take a look at the pathways to school? Is it safe? Is there other ways to help encourage active transportation? Do we need to, put in better lights or crossings? Is there ways the school can help and that sort of thing? And so this is very timely. And I know Cheryl Shabashi has been actively, who sits on the committee as well, has been actively talking to elementary schools to try and encourage them to get involved in this initiative. So you may hear this come up at school councils as well. And so it's a good way to coordinate to help everybody, understand there's ways that we can get our kids to school in an safe way during active transportation. And occupational health and safety, each month in the division dispatch, the Occupational Health and Safety Committee puts in, of course, a little article, which I usually showcase in here. And this one, Rebecca Adamson wrote this particular article. This is part 1. Part 2 will be next week. This one's importance of debriefing. Many of our staff, they encounter dysregulated students, and so this is a topic about how some strategies when addressing that situation. And then I just want to highlight, it's, just like Daniel and I were able to get out to Coalbanks to meet with students. Some of our staff, they get a chance sometimes to interact with students. And then Galbraith Elementary School posted this on social media about our electrician Shane, who was happy to sit with a student and tell him a little bit about what he does for the school division. So that's all I have.
Thank you so much, Christine, for your report. Any questions? Craig?
2 quick questions. I know the picture doesn't show it, but obviously the new school will be accessible to all people with an elevator and all that?
Yes, we have an elevator, yes.
All right. And the other one is, what schools are using Apple? I thought most of us were.
Well, we have Apple iPhones that we
Apple,
use. We
okay.
have some iPads that we
Okay.
use. Yeah. We're
And
not.
so-
Our main technology is not Apple, but we have secondary technology.
And that one now we have to go through a third party. Does that increase the cost?
May.
It may.
Yeah, we're still assessing what that looks like.
All right. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Andrea?
I just wanted to thank you and Garrett so much for all your work towards the ICE Scholarship showcase. It was a wonderful evening to see those showcases, and especially to hear the kids get up and talk about their projects. And for many, it was the first time that they'd ever taken to a mic, and I think that was so wonderful to see their family come out and support them. And thank you also to Christine and Craig and Mike who were there that night, and to the sponsors. Like, wow, that was amazing. And they really came out to watch those kids. And also, just when you talked about going to Coalbanks, it brings back a memory. That was pretty much our very first assignment, was going to schools, and we were given those little blocks and asked to help design the new school, which will open. And so the grand staircase was a big part of that. That was our team, the grand staircase. We were all about the Titanic boat and the grand staircase. So thank you for that. And when I was at Epic Days, I met the robot dog. Did you want to? Oh, you don't know about the robot dog? Okay. Well, I met the robot dog that I think will walk the halls of the new school. And how cool that will be, because pet therapy, but in the form of a robot dog. And it's amazing, as long as something walks like a dog, you just want to pet it. Like it. So thank you so much.
Allison?
Thank you, Christine. I appreciate seeing that we are getting our kids early into the trades and providing them some key insights into that piece. Definitely a thank you to Cheryl Shimbashi for the work that she's doing with the school travel plans. So she's doing it for both divisions, which is great, but they're going to be doing 22 school travel plans, whether the schools are involved or not. So it's great to have Cheryl representing the schools and to be able to help make school zones safer. So that's great. This weekend, I was part of the ASCA conference and AGM, and one of the pieces on the ASCA AGM was in regards to tech to student ratio in our division. And I was asked specifically that information. So I don't expect an answer now, but one of the pieces across the province that was discussed was that parents should be able to ask for what that tech to student ratio is. So I'm just curious if you'd be able to find that out for the future for us.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. It may be on our Tech Evergreening website. That data may be there, but I'd have to check. So
Okay.
it may already be accessible, but I'm not sure. But I can certainly make sure that we get that.
Sounds good. Just in case other trustees get asked, because I know I certainly did. And yeah, lots of great work happening. So thank you very much, Christine, for that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much. We will move on to 7.2, instructional services. Morag.
Okie dokie. Yeah, lots going on in April, including reviewing budgets in instructional services because I oversee over 12 different budgets. There's lots of conversation with my managers, sort of looking at where we're at. As you can see for April, lots of things on the go. We start our Inclusive Education Parent Advisory Panel meeting, as you can see, May 1st, so that's this Thursday. Health Champs meeting is moving actually to just an information item. So we'll be communicating that out to our health champs in the next day. Our Indigenous Education grad, and of course our Achievement Awards night is coming up very quickly. May seems to just roll once it starts. In inclusive education and early ed, of course, Rochelle in the bridging of transitioning Carly into the position has supported, and lots of things going on related to early learning registration and kinder care expression of interests. We have up to April 7th, 116 families that have expressed interest in early education programs for the upcoming year. I don't know if this was mentioned, but the Smile Cookie campaign has started, so please go to Tim Hortons and buy a couple of cookies. That is in partnership with our Poverty Intervention Committee, and we've had many different folks volunteering to decorate cookies. We're trying to convince Mike that he might be able to exercise his artistic ability on the cookies. I think he's eschewing that opportunity at this juncture, but the next page, curriculum and instruction, as you can see, just because I know a lot of interest comes from our board around what are we doing with the curriculum education piece and supporting our teachers. And so I just shared the little flyer that we shared out to our teachers around our curriculum deep dives that our curriculum teachers are offering. They've been really well subscribed, and just want to commend Erin and the team there for putting those on. Off campus, I actually met this morning with them, and so lots of things going on for May and June. It does seem to be the busiest time for them. We've got summer trades happening, a partnership with Fifth on Fifth. We've got 13 students in the summer who are registered to be participating in that program, which is really, really exciting. On May 14th, we have a Zone 6 wrap information with all of our divisions that work together at George Kirkham's Classic Vehicle Collection. Sarah Ronson will be sending out registration for that, and I know it's very, very highly subscribed by students. So yeah, we have a limited number of students we can accommodate for that event, but looking forward to accommodate quite a few. We also have an event on May 28th, the Apprenticeship Recognition Barbecue, hosted by Next Generation. They will be bringing on a lot of the students that have been working in tandem with Next Gen in our RAP program at 10:30 at the Legacy Pavilion. So if you want to see something fun and exciting and maybe have a hamburger, you're more than welcome to come out on May 28th. This is in addition, of course, to the Associate Superintendent report, because this is information I've received post submission of this report. Indigenous education offered a really exciting opportunity over at the Buffalo Jump at the drive lanes. Just some information here on the event so that you can have a perusal of that at another time. Some nice pictures in there and teachers. I think we had over 40 teachers and administrators attend the event. So yeah, obviously very valuable and meaningful opportunity.
Thank you so much, Morag. Are there any questions for Morag? Craig?
Not really a question, but a comment. I did appreciate the article that either came out on Thursday or Friday of last week about KinderCare.
Thank you, Craig.
And it was timely, and I'm hoping that it stirs some interest in our numbers. But it was a well-written article, and Christine Light did a good job in portraying some of the issues and some of the concerns and the benefits of the program. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Craig. Andrea, and then Jenny.
I wanted to echo how excited I was about the article about KinderCare as well, and appreciate hearing how much interest there is. Also very excited for Indigenous Grad and Indigenous Awards Nights. You've got so much going on in your portfolio. And a big thank you to Tim's for their support. And I wonder about, I'm excited about the first meeting, May 1st, for the Inclusive Education Parent Advisory Panel. Could you just remind us of what the configuration of that panel is?
Yep. Yep,
Like
sure.
if there's a board person on it or no?
There are no board
Okay.
members on it. We have 8 parents and then an administrator representative from elementary, middle, and high school. There are 2 parents who are still outstanding until the fall because we want early education representation. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Jenny.
My question was for KinderCare as well. With those who have expressed the interest in involvement, what does our time frame look like for turnaround time in confirming for those families their spaces?
So really, we are waiting for our budget conversation, Jenny, to communicate that out.
Allison?
They're not questions, but just some comments. Thank you to Rochelle for coming to DSC. It was appreciated having her talk about inclusive education and answer questions as they came up. And heard lots of great feedback in regards to the report cards. I know we've talked about it previously, but I know it's coming to an end with the pilots. And I think that the whole project was great in terms of that people felt heard. They saw changes. They obviously know not all changes are going to be in there, but they felt that they were heard and the engagement was good and it was a variety. It wasn't just like one sector at one school. So that I've heard good feedback on that. And then of course off campus, like it's great work that they're doing. So keep up the good work. I know they've got lots going on.
Thank you, Allison. Are there any other questions for Morag? All right, seeing none, thank you. That concludes that. We have some special guests with us in the boardroom today. Welcome, everyone. It's great to have a crowd with us in the boardroom. So we're going to jump ahead to 10.1. And our item is LCI Student Community Impact. And so we would like to welcome Cameron Bamey and the Bamey family to the boardroom, as well as the community that surrounds you today. Earlier in this school year, there was an incident at LCI where Cameron collapsed during a basketball practice during a school. And there were staff in this LCI staff that acted quickly. Those staff were Ross Beckering, Darren Majorin, and Tyson Pusher, and they worked to stabilize Cameron before Lethbridge fire and emergency staff arrived at the school. And fortunately, we are at a place right now, a place of blessing right now, where Cameron is back at school. And that is thanks to the combined efforts of the LCI staff, which also includes teacher counselor Robin McKenzie and players on this basketball team. And we have Cameron Platt and Seth Bridge here today to recognize, as well as the Lethbridge first responders. And so truly, it is an honor and a privilege to have you all here, and a privilege to be able to speak to a celebration of life, because that's truly what this is. And I had the pleasure of attending the first pep rally LCI's had in a very long time. And I know there was a formal recognition with a video presentation as well in the LCI gym the other month, and it was a lot of fun to be there. And it was just really good to hear the story and see the rallying of your community and the celebration of the positive end and the positive impact had. And so it is the pleasure of the board today to be able to recognize those that have been involved, that have significantly changed the course of this young man's life and the course of this young man's family. And so we celebrate. Okay, yeah, we celebrate with you just the blessing of Cameron. No, it is all good. It is all good. And so what we will do today is we have certificates that we would like to present in recognition, but we would just like to give Gord Vatcher, Vice Principal at LCI, an opportunity to speak. And then should anyone from the Bamey family wish to speak, we would also give that opportunity as well. Gord, we invite you to the mic.
Sit down or stand up? I'll try to stand here because it'll be easier. Some of you might not know Cameron. Cameron's right here. We'll give him a wave. Cameron in the blue, right? So congratulations. And I'll kind of say this in like a little episode. I know some of the story was told, but right away when this happened, we had Tyson Pusher in the green there, and Darren Majorin coaching, call 911. And they sent two of their players, Cameron Platt here, Seth Bridge, give them a wave. They went running down the hallway to the other end of LCI. And if any of you have walked LCI, it is insanely long where our AED machine is. So those two gentlemen ran and got it on Darren's kind of instructions. And man, they ran fast, and they were smart enough to grab Mr. Ross Beckering over there too, to get him back to the scene and help out. And the same time, Mr. Pusher had gone outside to meet our EMS crew, and man, nothing could have went any better. And I know that because I've talked to the Lethbridge EMS team, and I asked them, is there anything else we need to do as a staff, students, anything like that? This group, a trio, amazing job. We are so happy for them. Cameron had given out the Ultimate Green to Gold Awards to the Lifesavers. Today he has one because Mr. Pusher unfortunately missed the one ceremony, so we have it today. So Cameron, if you can present that right now, we'll do that. So you can do that. And all the other ones got theirs, so congratulations. And then on behalf of LCI and the Bamey family, we got a little meal for the platoon that helped out. And we have Mike and Eric here today from Lethbridge EMS. And the good news story that has come out about this is the relationship between Mike and myself and the impact in our community, because we've started now a pilot program that he's been wanting to get off the ground in the city of Lethbridge. And it was a cardiac crash course where kids can learn cardiac response to this. Can we bring the poster up? You can come up to Mike and talk to. You guys have a copy of it. So Mike created ours for LCI, right? Put it in the green to gold colors. I told him he can't have it in anything else. We weren't going to accept any other colors. And he officially branded it. The other copy you have is the ones that you're actually going to see in Lethbridge facilities. We taught this little course to our sport medicine class already, and it's been impactful in that sense. And the other thing that we want to bring it on next year is for our grade 9 during our health classes. And I would like to be an advocate on behalf of Mike and Lethbridge EMS, and I'm sure he would like to say a couple quick words of why we came up with this. But at the very end of the day, this is like a super easy, no-brainer, should be in most of our schools, and I would love to be an advocate for it. But I'm going to let Mike speak because he's the guy that's kept poking me.
I wasn't there. I just send the emails out at the fire department. So I wasn't there, but one of our first responders, Eric certainly was, and he was the Cameron's lead paramedic that day. So I guess what I'd just like to say is that cardiac arrest in young people happen. It's rare, but it happens more than you think. And, you know, we have in all of our washrooms, we have a sign of how to properly wash your hands. And that's super valuable, right? But we don't have a sign of what we should do if somebody has a cardiac arrest. And this is exactly what I think that all schools could benefit from. What we've done here is we've made a template that has three editable features. One is the logo. So if Winston Churchill wants to adopt this, they can put the Winston Churchill logo on there. They can adapt it to their school colors, and then they can change where their location of their AEDs are. And so we're gonna fund the first couple that are going in LCI, and then if any school wants to and say, hey, this is our school, these are our colors, this is where our AED is, all you got to do is call Paramount Printers, and they'll make you one. And then you can. What we're suggesting is that you put them up right beside every AED, and then put them up in the gym. For a little bit more sustainability, what I would love to do is we have a very good resource that it's a very brief video, and I would love to, with your permission, of course, I would love to present that at like at a teacher conference. So if you needed a guest speaker for 10 minutes, hey, I'm your guy. and it's just basically, how do we recognize a sudden cardiac arrest and what do we do? And it's super simple, super brief. And I think this way it's very sustainable and it's very impactful at the same time with not a lot of work. So that's the plan. And if you'd like to learn more, I'd love to answer any questions or come back at a later date. So that's all I got.
And I just want to say thanks to Mike and the MS crew. And obviously we're here to honor this. This was another great blessing out of this event, I would like to say. And this is to me a no-brainer. I'm a big first aider of my own. I've had lifeguard training, ski patrol training. This is really helpful for just anybody. So I would be an advocate for it, and I could bring it up at a admin meeting there, Mike, as you know, and I'd do whatever we'd like for it. But yeah, and I think we're really here to honor all these other guests, but this was another positive spin-off that we wanted to bend your ear on. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike and Gord, for presenting this. I think it's brilliant, and it's one of those. It's a scenario that you don't think is going to happen to you until it happens to you. And you're right, this happens with students, and students need to be empowered to act and serve and save and know what to do and be confident in those moments. And so thank you for bringing this forward and thinking of what a positive outcome can come from this incident, but how to continue to move forward with positive influence for the division. So thank you very much. All right, yes, please.
Express our gratitude from the Bainey family to everybody involved through this entire process. It's turned what could have been a tragedy to a special memory. Weird to say, but the connections that we've formed from it, instant connections with Derek and Mike and the coaches. It's just, we feel like it's kind of part of our. I love that the community is involved with this too, and that awareness, and we want to do our part to create awareness, because even though it is rare, it can happen and has happened, and so we want the same outcome in the future for happens to. Yeah, from the bottom, thank you. I love you all.
And we celebrate with you today that you're able to stand and say those words. That is a blessing. All right, what we will do is we will move to the recognition of our local heroes. So Mike and I will say the names, And our communications officer, Garrett, will take a group photo at the end. I don't know if you're going to take photos during. He'll take photos during as well. And then we'll do a group photo at the end. There we go. Okay, we'll start with our students. First is Cameron Platt. Next, all right, we have our staff members, Ross Beckering. Tyson Putter. Thank you. Darren Majorin. And Robin McKenzie.
And just so everyone knows, Robin McKenzie was the one that called me when after this happened, and she made sure every kid was wrapped up after by grabbing all the other kids from the basketball team, and she made sure that they visited with every parent that evening and make sure. So it's a little back behind the scenes things that were super important. So again, something I didn't maybe mention earlier, but Robin, we super appreciate you and what you did that evening. Thank you.
And our EMS team, Eric Saban. And Mike Humphrey.
I didn't do anything.
Come on up. You're carrying good work forward, and we're recognizing the good work. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. We do have our next presenters in the room. So what we will do is we will move forward to 10.3 Winston Churchill High School IB program. So we're just gonna, are you good? Okay. Would you like to listen to the HR report?
I sold like I've been building it up.
You're more than welcome to stay following your presentation. We welcome you always.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. We have a PowerPoint. It's real high tech. Setting up or just wait? Set up. Okay. While you're setting up, how about we do the HR?
Do it.
Feel free to sit there. We'll ask you any questions if they come up, Tracy. So we will move to our HR report. Robbie.
All right, thank you. I just have a couple of highlights from the report. I won't, it's not certainly exhaustive, but I do want to highlight under the staff training and development that the Human Resources and Division of Instructional Services are pleased to share that 29 educational assistant staff received Parabytes training completion certification. 2 of those educational assistants have also received promotions to certified educational assistant. We like to highlight and celebrate those as we're taking care of professional learning and increasing opportunities for our educational assistants. As well, we would share that we have educational assistants growing in their 22 educational assistants gain seniority in 24-25 school year. So growing as professionals in seniority, which means more job security for those individuals. And of course, I'd be remiss if I did not speak to honoring Admin Professionals Day last week. We had a great time for those of us who were working last week to join in the boardroom with some popcorn and goodies and treats and have some conversations to celebrate all the amazing things too close talking, all the amazing things our admin professionals do, and a huge shout out to our admin professionals. They work hard to support the organization and operations on a daily basis, and we appreciate and value them individually very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robbie. And I would also like to thank the administrative professionals in our division. I know Tina Carnegie is the executive assistant to the superintendent as well as the board, and she helps everything be seamless for the board, and she does some significant heavy lifting and work behind the scenes as well as some in front that you see posted on the website with our agendas and such. And we also have many admin around the division that help the board move forward with their priorities and their work sitting in our committee meetings as well. And so the board extends our gratitude to the administrative professionals in our division. Are there any questions for Robbie? Andrea?
Not necessarily a question. Thank you for your report. I also wanted to thank Tina for organizing all of that chocolate for us for Education Week. You were amazing to get that ready for us, and I just wanted to give you a huge thank you for doing that for us. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, thank you, Robbie, for your report. It is appreciated. Now we will move on to 10.3. We have Principal Tracy Wong and Vice Principal Aaron Becking of Winston Churchill High School here to present on the IB program. And Aaron is fresh from his New York trip with around 60 students. So welcome back. Welcome back to us, Aaron. So the International Baccalaureate program strives to develop students who better build a better world through intercultural understanding and respect. And IB is committed to developing inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who are motivated to grow and succeed. It encourages students to ask challenging questions, to critically reflect and develop research skills and learn how to learn. And so Tracy and Aaron, welcome. And we look forward to your presentation today. And I'll just hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us time today where we can share a little bit about our about the International Baccalaureate Program. One of the things, we've just finished a 5-year evaluation. So as an IB school, every 5 years we go through an evaluation. And one of the things that we talked about as a school is how proud we are to have IB. You all know that we're the only school south of Calgary to have an IB program. And we're very proud of it, but we don't do a very good job of sharing what the IB program is with our community and with all of you. So we thought this was a good starting point to share what is it? Because it is a program we believe our division can be proud of. And yeah, so we wanted to share a bit about that. So the next slide. Really, essentially, we put on there, IB is awesome. So like, why are we here? So we wrote on this slide, we envision a thriving IB World School where the diploma program, so there are 4 programs in IB, diploma program is one of them, which is the one we have at Churchill, is accessible to more students, fully integrated into our school culture, and supported by a dedicated and growing community of educators. And we see you as our community of educators. And so we hope to share this information so you have knowledge about it in case parents or students come to you and say, what is the IB program? Like, what is it about? What does it develop in students? So that's why we're here, to share with you so you have a bit of knowledge about it. Yeah.
Okay, so at Churchill, our vision as a school is a community of learners working to make our world a better place, which we think truly does align with the vision, mission, and values of the International Baccalaureate Program. So I'm just going to read a little bit here about the International Baccalaureate Program, even though Christine did a great job kind of giving us an intro into it. So the IB is a globally recognized program that encourages students to develop into internationally minded individuals. The aim of the IB program is to cultivate learners who recognize their common humanity and shared responsibility for the planet, empowering them to contribute towards creating a more peaceful and sustainable world. Through the IB learner profile, we nurture students who are not only academically strong, but also compassionate, open-minded, and prepared to make a positive impact in both their local and global communities. And I think just in that is what we really value about the IB program. And like Tracy mentioned, there's not always a lot of people that truly know what the IB program is. And I think sometimes it gets that reputation of just like an academic program. But what we really want to share today is there's so much more about the IB program, and that's why we truly value it. So on the screen there, I mentioned the IB learner profile, and those are the attributes that you can see in the boxes there. So that is what the IB really wants to develop in students. So just a couple of them there, to be thinkers, to be knowledgeable, to be caring, to be risk takers. So stepping outside of their comfort zone and doing things that, you know, they might not otherwise do. So what we have done, especially after our 5-year review, is taking those 10 attributes and not just being a school that has an IB program, but we truly are an IB school. So taking those 10 learner profile attributes and really making them a big part of our school community and really kind of instilling that into the culture at our school.
And what we're sharing with students is that there's a perception that you must have a certain average to enter IB. And we, in the last few years, we're really trying to get away from that, but especially after our IB review, what we're sharing with students is that if these attributes interest you and you want to cultivate those in yourself, that's who the IB program is for. And for sure, it is a rigorous program because you're doing IB, the IB program, which is an international curriculum, and you're also doing Alberta curriculum. So students do 2 curriculums when they're doing IB at Churchill. So that's why it is rigorous, but it's not just for students who have a 98% average. In fact, it might not be for you if that is your goal, and your goal isn't to look at these attributes and become an inquiring mind and a caring human and think about the planet and think about intercultural understanding. So we're really trying to focus on that as a school. Yeah. So the next slide, I just thought this quote is, I think, really, really beautiful. Next slide. Thank you, Jesse. And I'm going to read a little bit about it. So sorry that I'm reading, but I love this. So the International Baccalaureate Philosophy unequivocally places inquiry at the center of the learning process. All 4 IB programs, so there are 4 IB programs. There's the early years program, which is for elementary school, the middle years program, we have the diploma program, and then there's the career-related program. We don't have that. There's only 2 in Alberta. So all 4 IB programs identify inquiry as a fundamental approach to learning. As one of the attributes of the IB learner profile, inquiry is not simply an attempt to articulate how students learn, it represents one of the cultural norms to which all IB school communities aspire. So it's not just like, we think about inquiry as a strategy, it's a way of being, like learning and inquiring as a way of being. And I had the great fortune of attending a leadership professional learning session 2 weeks ago, where this is the core for adult learning as well. So for when we're talking about professional learning for staff, it's about inquiry and about like that as a way of being, which as a school is very important to us. So that's like the foundation of our school, but it aligns with IB. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to outline a little bit about, what the IB program looks like in terms of courses. So the IB program starts in grade 10 at Churchill. So students wanting to do IB do need to start the program in grade 10. There's 2 ways that students can approach IB. There is a partial IB student, which means you're only taking maybe 1, 2, or even 3 IB courses, or there's the full diploma program, which means students are wanting to get an IB diploma, which means they need to do all the courses required to get that diploma. So if you can kind of see the graphic up on the screen, there's 6 groups to IB courses. Group 1 is language, which would be taught through English in Alberta curriculum. Group 2 is a second language. So students wanting to take the IB program do have to take a second language. We offer 2. We offer French and we offer Spanish. Now within the IB program, we do have to have a higher level second language. So our higher level second language is French. So if you want to take French in the IB program, you do have to have previous French experience and knowledge. Spanish is our beginner level, so you don't have to have any experience when you go into French. The third group is individuals and societies, which would fit within social studies in Alberta. Group 4 is experimental science, so we offer biology as our science for IB. Group 5 is mathematics, and then group 6 is the options. So currently for option courses, we offer chemistry, art, and music, and we're looking at adding theater and computer science into our options for IB as well. So going back to the 2 different approaches to IB, if you want to be a full IB student and go towards the diploma, you do need to take the courses in all 6 of those, plus the additional requirements, which I'll talk about in a moment. If you just want to be a partial IB student, maybe English is a passion and a course you want to engage in further, then you can just take 1 course and just be a partial IB student. And then at the end, you would just get a certificate completing English as an IB course. So the next slide talks about the additional requirements. So if you are going to do the full IB diploma, there are 3 additional requirements that you need to take. One is a course called the Theory of Knowledge, and it's a 100-hour course, and it's pretty much a philosophy course. So it's talking about, where knowledge comes from. It really allows students to, question everything and ask questions and really dive deeper with their thinking. The second part is an extended essay. So students throughout a course of 18 months will pick a topic that they're interested in, choose an IB teacher as a supervisor, and they write a 4,000-word essay. Now, typically that scares students at first when they hear that they have to write a 4,000-word essay, but students that have taken IB before and graduated with a full diploma really tell students that are going through IB that that really is the best way to prepare them for university, which is one of the things that the IB program does. So students that go into the first year of university feel more prepared, especially with their essay writing, having experienced that in high school. And then the final requirement is Creativity Action Service, or CAS. And that goes back to kind of the IB vision, is getting students out into the community. So the creativity portion, students are encouraged to explore their creative side. So that could be through the arts, through fine arts, through music, maybe learning how to play an instrument. Action is getting involved in activity. Maybe it's trying a new sport. Maybe it's teaching a sport to students. And then the final one is service. We just had our theory of knowledge students do some volunteer work at the soup kitchen a couple of weeks ago. So just service work within the community.
Okay, so we're not going to go through this very much, but just if you're a full diploma student at Churchill, the schedule is very rigid. So if you're doing a full diploma at Churchill with the IB diploma and the Alberta High School diploma, this is what your schedule looks like. So there's really no room to move where math is, because you take 2 math courses in grade 10, because you finish math 30 in grade 11. So we just share this with all of our families, but we think it's important for everyone to know. If you're a partial IB student, your schedule is much more flexible, because you might be in art IB, that's the only IB class you're in, and then your other classes can move around, but you're stuck to the art IB sections. So that's what a full IB schedule looks like. And TOK, Aaron teaches theory of knowledge, and that starts in May for grade 11 students and runs all through grade 12. And that is embedded into the schedule. So he pulls from different courses. Theory of knowledge is something we're thinking about offering all students at Churchill, because it really is an amazing course about thinking about the way you think and where knowledge comes from. Like, why do we know what we know, and where does it come from, and who says it's valid? And it's a really interesting course. So that's the full diploma schedule.
Okay, so just a little bit about the why behind our IB program. So one of the cool things we did back in the fall, for the first time, we had an IB retreat where we took, all of the IB students, full and partial, grade 10 to 12, to Waterton for the day, to just engage in learning about the IB program. And one of the things we had students discuss was their why behind the IB program. You know, why do they want to take IB? And we got all different types of answers, but these are some of the ones that really stood out to us, and they're things that we are pretty passionate about at Churchill. One being students learn a variety of skills, and some of those main skills are time management and organization. We've talked about how rigid the IB program can be, so those are some of the important skills that come out of IB. Students get to really challenge themselves through doing those 2 curriculums like Tracy mentioned, doing the IB curriculum, which is taught in IB schools around the world, as well as engaging in the Alberta curriculum. Students really enjoyed having the opportunity to learn alongside like-minded individuals. So the students going into IB want to be in IB, and they want to, engage further in the learning. They want to have those discussions. So that was pretty cool to hear. Engaging in a global curriculum, so having an opportunity to do that curriculum with the same students all over the world. We have hopefully some exciting opportunities to connect with other IB schools around the world, not just in the province of Alberta, but elsewhere as well. It really does prepare students for post-secondary, which I think is one of the big whys behind the IB program for a lot of students at first when they start to learn about the IB program. And then preparing for life outside of high school, just with the global mindedness and all the skills that they learn from IB.
I'll just start this, but Aaron will explain our 5-year review, but we just had a 5-year review, and it started 1.5 years ago. So IB is in order to maintain our IB status, we have to demonstrate a whole bunch of things. And this was probably one of the coolest evaluations we have ever been a part of in my career. It was this 5-year IB evaluation, because they really had our IB crew, so the teachers, coming together with our admin team to think about why we offer it, to reflect on our school, to reflect on pedagogy, on instruction, assessment, and then also community, and how are we making our world a better place, and how we grow IB. So these are the celebrations and program recommendations, and we wanted to share those with you. But one of the big goals for our school is we would love to have 70% of our students engaged in IB. So that means students who would take maybe one course 2 courses, some doing a full IB diploma. Most schools who offer IB, 100% of their students are engaged in IB. And so now most schools are not community schools, public schools, they're private schools. But we have this vision because we believe wholeheartedly in the perspective of IB, and we think it enriches students, their lives, and our school community. So I'll let Aaron just share the celebrations and some recommendations.
So during the 5-year review, the year leading up to the conclusion of it, we have to pick a goal or something that we want to focus on as an IB program, and ours was growing our IB program. And like Tracy talked about, that even means within the school and having more students within our building wanting to take IB. So after the conclusion, we were provided with a report from IB just on some things that we're doing very well with our program, and then just some recommendations on areas that we can focus on within our school. And just before I get to some of these celebrations and recommendations, like Tracy mentioned, it was a super cool process because we had our admin team, we had IB teachers, we had parents of IB students, we had IB students, we had Morag, we had Christine Lee join in different meetings. It was a kind of a 3-day process, 3 days of meetings with IB evaluators. So it was a really cool opportunity to really share about our IB program and get some feedback. So some of the celebrations on areas that we were doing very well. The first one, we strive to make IB education accessible to all students. So there is no cost, there's no fee for students at our school that want to take IB because we really want it to be open to anyone that is interested in IB. Like Tracy mentioned, hopefully one day our goal gets to 70% of our students engaging in IB. Providing IB PL opportunities to our entire staff. So staff do have an opportunity to travel to different areas for IB specific professional learning, but we have also been doing a lot of IB professional learning just within our school as a staff this year, one of them being trying to incorporate the learner profile attributes into our classrooms, into each and every class in our school. Our vision and mission, like I talked about at the start, really do align with the IB program, and IB saw that, and we're appreciative of the fact that we kept that in mind when looking at our vision at our school. Nurtures learners to take initiative and pursue learning beyond the classroom. So through that, as you all know, Math Club is a great example. So Math Club started with IB students in grade 11 that were, just engaging in learning outside of the classroom, and we still have Math Club to this day because of that. And then supportive staff-student relationships. So we got lots of feedback from students and from parents in the IB meetings, just how supportive our staff is towards the IB program, how they support students, how they care for students, and how that really shows through our school culture. Let me keep going with the recommendations. Yeah. Okay. So some of the recommendations that came from IB, the first one being explore ways to separate IB classes from the Alberta curriculum classes. So right now, because we are such a small IB school, we have, for example, if we're talking 30 level IB courses, they're taught within a 30-1 English class, right? Which makes it challenging to actually focus a lot on the IB curriculum. So one of the recommendations are finding a way to have the IB courses stand alone from the Alberta curriculum courses. The second one, again, these are recommendations from IB. The school would benefit from further district level funding.
This is funny, honestly. Budget here.
Totally. Touchy subject, we know. Just in order to increase the sustainability of the program and to be able to offer those courses that do stand alone from the Alberta curriculum courses. Consider introducing structured skill building sessions. So we talked about all the important, valuable skills that come out of the IB program. So the IB suggested having specific courses, whether they're embedded in IB courses or courses that other students can take that just really focus in on those skills. And then finally, continue to provide opportunities for staff collaboration and professional learning. So we do offer those things, but just being mindful of how important it is and how it is benefiting our IB program.
So really, finally, one of our goals that Aaron talked about in the evaluation process was to grow our IB program. Because if we believe in the IB philosophy and we believe that we're an IB school, we believe that for all kids in our community. And part of that is sharing that IB philosophy with all of you. And so we're really trying to get away from this idea that IB is only for students with a certain average. There was a time when I was teaching at Churchill many, many years ago where there was a form that kids filled out to get into IB, and it just indicated what your marks were. And we've moved away from that. So we've moved away from having students, they now write why they want to be an IB. And of course, it is rigorous. You're doing 2 curriculums. So you do need to have like an ability to time manage and to prioritize. But we really want our team of educators to know what IB is so that you can help us share what it is and promote it and be proud of it. So yeah, that is the end of the formal presentation. Do you have any questions about IB?
Excellent. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Craig.
I'd like to commend Winston Churchill on doing that. And the other thing, in this time of climate in the province of Alberta, where charter schools and private schools are getting more publicity, I'm glad that we have a really alternative program that's going on in public education, and that we should, and we've talked about that as a board, we need to be more proactive in our PR, in the newspaper and in that, to get this message out, because we're not a monopoly, so kids can choose where they want to go. So I'm really excited about getting the message out about the IB program at Winston, and that we want to include as many kids as possible. Mm-hmm. And when you ask about post-secondary, that's just not university, and I think that's a key point. It could be college, it could be technical school, whatever. Mm-hmm. So my hat's off to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Just so you know, we met with Wilson, the Wilson admin team, to share about IB, because there is a middle years program, and we think it would be a cool opportunity for Wilson to explore that, because it's about character education. It's not about content. It's not about curriculum. Like it's really about skills. And so Wilson is quite interested in it, and so we're gathering information for them, and yeah, so.
Thank you. Allison.
Thank you for coming today and presenting. I appreciate everything that you've shared. I was in IB at Western Canada in Calgary, and at that time you had to apply to go there. Just curious, I have a few questions, and just curious how many students are currently in IB at Churchill?
So currently, I think we have 93 students from grade 10 to 12. That's full and partial. Grade 12 this year, so students doing partial and writing the world exams, which are the equivalent of the diplomas. We have about 27. Grade 11, we have a large group coming up next year. It'll be one of our larger group over the last few years. I think we'll have anywhere from 17 to 24 kids per IB class, which this year we're anywhere from 8 to 12. So that's quite a significant jump.
Thank you for sharing your numbers. Hearing you talk about that you'd like to be at 70% and eventually all students, I think that's fabulous. I think to have that opportunity is so important for our students. And hearing you say as well that you're the only school south of Calgary, I think it's how do we help to promote and to share that story? I know that Craig spoke about it, and I speak often of sharing that story. And if there's ways that we can assist in sharing that story, I would certainly be interested in doing that. So in terms of if a student in another school in our division wanted to attend, it is open to any student. Knowing we're the only school in Southern Alberta, is there schools from like our outlying communities that are able to attend as well? Or do we currently have any from our outlying divisions?
Currently not from out of town. Right now it's Lethbridge School Division and some that came from Holy Spirit. Yeah.
Okay. So, well, thank you for everything that you guys are doing. Aaron, did you used to be, or were you an IB student?
I wasn't an IB
no?
student.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. But keep doing the great work, and I think let us know how we can share, how we can help get to that vision of that 70%, because I do think it gives a well-rounded student. I've spoken to a number of your IB students over the last number of years, and they often ask questions, very deep questions, right, about careers and what does the world look like and how do we, like you having those conversations and they look further, right? So it's, you develop these well-rounded students that are amazing. So thank you very much for the work you guys are doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I just want to mention, like, you know, the ICE Scholarship Showcase, the number of students from Churchill who attend that, who are IB students, because they have the confidence and they're innovative, I think that contributes to that mindset. So, yeah.
Jenny and then Andrea.
I just wanted to say thank you for bringing the information for us to have. I know we have some understanding, but certainly I learned things today that I didn't know, and my siblings attended the program at Churchill, and I still didn't know all of what you shared today. So my question is just more out of curiosity. I know that there is a little bit of a legacy of the program at Churchill, and I wondered how long you've been able to offer the program through your school. Do you know when it started?
Okay, so do you know the date?
1991
Yeah.
was when
Yeah.
we started, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been around a lot. And I would say that I think for staff who've been at Churchill a long time and people who've retired, having the IB program changed the perception of Churchill. I would say I'm a Churchill grad. I think you all know that. And I think our IB program, when we look at the numbers of kids who are on the north side who take IB, it's majority north side kids who take it. There's a perception that it attracts other students, which it does. But also, kids from all over are capable of learning and achieving and excelling. And we believe that brings this, I don't know, like it brings a cool atmosphere to Churchill. And that's why we're proud of it. And that's why we think, like, wouldn't it be amazing if Wilson on the north side had the middle years program? And if they're interested, we're trying to get them to be interested. But yeah, so it changes perceptions about what happens in certain schools. So.
Any other questions? Andrea.
Thank you for sharing about the IB program so beautifully. I've always wanted to know more about it. I commend you for moving away from strictly marks to writing about why you would like to be in it. I love that. And thank you for reaching out to Wilson. I did not know that there was an elementary and a middle school component. And I think that would be wonderful for Wilson. And in that vein, would you move your program to grade 9 as well?
Would we?
Yes.
The curriculum is different.
Okay.
Yeah. So we offer in grade 9, we offer options that support the IB program. So for students, so we used to do it separately where it was IB math prep, IB English prep. Next year, we're going to offer grade 9 IB option. And then that's where we're thinking about offering TOK across grade 9. So that's how we would embed IB into grade 9. But the middle years program is 6 to 8. And then the high school program starts 10 through 12. So there's a gap in grade 9. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, thank you. I've appreciated the presentation and learning more about the program. And I really appreciate, as Andrea said, just moving away from grades based to really a thinking shift and allowing it to impact and form the culture of your school. All students are learners, regardless of age, regardless of demographic.
Yep.
And all students have the ability to learn and explore and thrive. And so thank you for providing that opportunity. And yes, absolutely, we would love to, we celebrate this with you and we would love to champion this with you as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for your
having us.
time today.
Okay, thank you for joining us. All right, we have our next presenters here. Oh, you're good. 11.1, international trip to Greece, Morag. We'll just jump forward to that. And then, yes, we invite our guests to sit in the front.
Would just like to welcome Emmanuel Christian High School membership. We have Leva de Groot from Emmanuel Christian. requesting approval to take approximately 15 to 25 grade 10 students, 10 to 12 students, on an international trip to Athens, Greece from April 2nd to April 10th next year. Information regarding the educational benefits of the trip and proposed itinerary are attached in the package. What we typically do, Levi, we just turn it over to you to just give a quick snapshot of what it's going to be like and then ask the board if they have any questions about the trip. But if you need an extra chaperone, I might be available for this one, but just I'll turn it over to you guys to let her roll. Thanks.
Well, thank you. So yeah, we just have a quick little presentation to go through some details of what we are proposing for the trip, and yeah, we'll have questions at the end, or if you want to stop us anytime. Thank you. Feel free to do that as well. So the plan is to do the trip over next Easter break. And so we are doing the tour through EF Tours. And so how it works through EF Tours is we request kind of those dates up there, so April 2nd to April 10th of next year. But they do have a little bit of kind of flexibility depending on flights. So it could be a couple days earlier to a couple days later when we return, but it will be the 9 days and probably from Good Friday to the following Saturday or Sunday.
So the trip itself, we did give you some pictures, a little bit of the itinerary with just a little bit of a snapshot of what the students would be doing. So obviously day one would be traveling and getting there, and into day two, settling in and just sort of exploring. And then you can kind of see by the pictures just some of the small details of where we'd be going, exploring some of the like wonderful architecture and landscape, and doing some guided tours. EF Tours does provide all of the tour guides with for all of the excursions that we would be doing. I don't know how I feel about olive oil tasting, but hey, it will be an adventure, and I think will be neat to see some of the kids' reactions as well. So these two slides here are just on the kind of the general itinerary, and then we would spend some time at the Acropolis, guided tour throughout Athens, and those last couple of days on the trip as well throughout Athens, and then heading home on day 9.
So just for ensuring safety, so as I mentioned, we'll be going through EF Tours. So for those who don't know, EF Tours is a Canadian tour company. They kind of exclusively do student tour groups, and they've been doing that since 1985. One of the nice things is there is an EF Tour tour guide with us the entire time. And so that is someone who has done this tour before. They are very knowledgeable about Greek culture, the area, safety. And so they are kind of a touch point where we could, if there was ever any issues, we could, obviously talk to them. And they also have a support system behind them as well. So EF Tours has 24/7 support that you could either call if there's any issues. So anything from an injury to a student, realizes we're about to board a plane and they don't have a required document, to illness, anything like that. They both have the 24/7 phone support, but there actually is an EF Tours office in Athens as well, which is where we'll be spending the majority of the time. And I think the furthest we get away from Athens is a couple of hours. So those are actually people that work for EF Tours that are in Athens on the ground that if anything happened would basically help us to resolve those issues right away.
Just to add to the safety piece, as far as insurance and making sure that our students are protected in all ways, EF Tours does offer their own travel insurance. It is something that you have to opt out of if you do not want to use, but we're requiring that the kids, if they are not doing the EF Tours, they must have a comprehensive travel insurance that their parents would get through their own insurance provider. The wonderful thing about EF Tours is because it is all organized through them, it is really, really easy for the parents, for everyone involved. But it is really nice to have that peace of mind knowing that the insurance is there to support us. And even if something were to happen, if last minute something were to occur, an injury or illness with that student, they can cancel up to 24 hours before the trip leaves to receive up to 80% of their money back. And then obviously there are further back, they can cancel for any reason prior to that cutoff date, and they would receive a large portion of their trip paid back to them too.
And so just looking at kind of the safety in Greece as a whole, at the moment, there is no Canadian travel advisories for Greece. So just take normal precautions, which is their lowest level of travel advisory. And so, yeah, at the moment, there's no concerns there. The one nice thing about EF Tours as well is if anything does change, so anything happens in Greece from now to when we leave, EF Tours actually can change where the trip is going. I believe it's up to like 2 weeks before the trip goes. So if all of a sudden it now becomes where the Canadian government is saying that people should not travel to Greece, then we could just change it to somewhere that it is safe to go, somewhere else in Europe or somewhere else, that doesn't have the travel advisory. And that's actually at no extra fee. The only extra cost would be if the new place we go to would be more expensive of a trip. But other than that, there's no extra fee for that. So that's just kind of a nice insurance for parents and for students to know that we're not going to know something changes and all of a sudden we're not losing out on a bunch of money or anything like that.
Some of the student goals, some of the purpose for the trip, we're hoping to help broaden the students' worldview, experiencing another culture, traveling internationally, interacting with other people from a different culture, such a wonderful learning experience for them as well. Hopefully they'll be able to gain an appreciation for some of the historic architecture, and to also gain an appreciation of Greek cuisine, some of the food. I know some kids have already talked about being a little nervous, but we promise it's not just OPA in the food court. And experiencing that language as well and having to work through even some of the language barrier. It's all such wonderful learning skills or like life skills that these kids will gain from that trip. Also to help develop that financial planning side of things while saving up and fundraising for the trip. They'll also have the opportunity to interact with some of the Lethbridge community through some of the fundraising opportunities that we were planning on doing. And then lastly, just to help develop a little bit of independence through traveling internationally without their parents, letting them experience the world without that safety net of their parents be their opportunities. Oh dear, what did I do?
You go one back.
I'm so sorry.
There we go. And then just our final slide here, we want to ensure that, this is a trip that, because it's through a tour guide and it's international and flights right now are quite expensive. And so it is a little bit more of an expensive trip. So we want to ensure that, that we have equality of access for all students who wish to go. And so because of that, we will be doing multiple fundraisers, both this spring and then going some throughout the summer and the next fall as well. And a lot of those will be either group fundraisers or individual. So students who wish to put more of a commitment into it will probably be able to fundraise a large percentage of the cost. And then we also actually have had an opportunity, a community member from our school, a business has donated a one spot for a student to go on this trip as well. And so we are having an application process where students will have to handwrite a persuasive essay about why they wish to go on the trip and why they think they are a good choice for the trip. And so that is something that we are going to be offering students as well to be able to offer a choice to a student who may not be able to go otherwise because of the financial commitment. So I think that's the end of our presentation. So if anyone has any questions or concerns or anything like that for us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your thorough presentation. It looks like a phenomenal opportunity for your students. And I love the persuasive essay. I love that opportunity for a student to receive scholarship for their travel. That was very thoughtful of that community member to put that forward. Are there any questions from the board? And if there are none, I will also look for a motion. Craig?
I was just going to suggest that maybe you should hit the Minister of Education up for a donation, because as a youth, he went to Greek school every Saturday and Sunday growing up, and he's Greek. So he's from, his parents were from, and so that might be a kind of a jest there, but still.
Might be worth it.
Andrea?
Thank you for planning this. I find that school trips, those are the memories that they remember for the rest of their lives. So thank you. And I'm happy to make the motion. Okay. I move that the Emmanuel Christian Secondary School trip to Athens, Greece in April 2026 be approved by the board on the condition that the division policies and procedures are strictly followed, and with the understanding that future travel advisories and/or vaccination requirements may affect the trip's ability to proceed.
Thank you. Are there any further comments or questions? Those in favor? And that's carried. Have a great Easter trip to Greece.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. That was great. Thank you. Take care, Matt. All right, we will now move back to 8.1. We're going to begin our superintendent report. So we'll start 8.1, assurance priorities report. Mike.
Awesome, the moment you've all been waiting for. It's a bit of a tough act to follow. It's not going to be Greece, but it's still pretty good because we're talking about assurance priorities. That is also exciting. So as per usual, I'll just hit a couple highlights, and then if you have questions, of course, always do our best to answer those. So under governance, certainly one of the big areas of focus for the board, for the school division, is working through the budget. So we've had people working very, very hard on the budget here in the division. We certainly got our funding profile late, and it's a pretty complex budget this year, so it's taking more time to get all that out. But certainly appreciate all the work that people are putting on with that. If you can scroll down to the next priority, diverse learning pathways, we'll just hit one here. It was a little over a year ago that we hosted the esports championships, and I see that Bow Valley College is hosting them, and that's exciting, and look forward to hearing about the great work that they do. And they'll have a Lethbridge 51 booth. I'm sure we'll have a great presence there. The next one, Indigenous Student Achievement, just wanted to highlight over 50 teachers and administrators attending a learning opportunity at the Buffalo Jump. What a great turnout that is. That's a really good number, and so really happy to see that. And thank you to the Indigenous education team for doing that. And then we'll keep scrolling down, responding effectively to student needs. Great to see the tech team staff being at the EPIC Career Day and speaking to students about careers in technology. Pretty cool. I know that the tech department also supported the EPIC, but it was nice to be there and work with kids from all school divisions just to say, hey, here's some careers that you could consider. And then a little later down on that one, you'll see Rochelle and Carly and Rhonda and Stacy. They've been out to schools really working on the support staff process. All that happens in conjunction with budget, and it's a very big, there's a lot of information that you need to bring together, and so really appreciate them just going to schools, sitting down and really listening to what are the needs and what are the challenges that our schools are facing. And then under professional growth, you'll see that Carmen, our English as additional language support teacher, created a new EAL toolkit on the division website. And so you can go in and access various resources and videos and some professional learning. So just a nice way to make things accessible for teachers when they need it, and really appreciate the work that she's done there. And then when we go to learning supports, Morag included in there under safe and caring culture. A special thank you to Don Raylini and Jen Day for the work that they've been doing. And just wanted to highlight, certainly I think we know, I think the board is well aware of the work that Jen does and appreciative, but you don't get an opportunity to meet Don Raylini, who's our youth engagement officer, and we are incredibly fortunate to have him. He is one youth engagement officer for the entire city. Back when they were called SROs, we had multiple in the city and they were very, very busy. So he's very busy, tremendous supporter of students in Lethbridge School Division. We know that Lethbridge Police Service is looking at expanding that so we have more access to YAOs to support us, which is greatly appreciated, or staff. And then it was mentioned earlier the Smile Cookie campaign, so we'll mention it again. And for the record, I'd also like to say, because Morag did call out my skills for Smile Cookies, and I have to tell you, I'm awful at it. I did it last year and it was a horrible performance. I made cookies and I was so embarrassed. I'm like, you can't sell these because you might have to shut down your business. They're so bad. So I will purchase these and bring them back to the office, and people at work will have to eat them, but they may not be happy about it. So I am not decorating any cookies this year, but I'm there in spirit. And for those people who have those skills, thank you so much, because I do not have them and it was plainly painful, obvious. So yeah, with that, I'll open it up to any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Mike. Are there any questions aside from his cookie decorating skills? Allison.
I don't have questions, just a couple of comments. I know Robbie had brought up in her HR report, and I just wanted to highlight as well that the 29 educational assistants that have completed the Parabytes training, that's great to hear, and that 2 of them have been able to receive that promotion. So that's great that those opportunities are there, and I think that that's important for our division to do that. Maybe it is a question that I have next for through Mike to Morag in regards to the settlement workers, the comment that is in here, just I'm assuming that's the Swiss workers that work with our schools. I just want to confirm we do have them currently working with our schools? Okay, perfect. I just wanted to confirm that because the wording, I was like, not sure if they were, but. Okay, so it will look a little bit different, but we do have access and support. Okay, thank you.
Andrea.
I'd never been to Epic Day before, and I just loved being there and seeing the engagement. And I just wanted to give a shout out as well to Jesse and our tech team for being there. The students were just so engaged, and I got through the whole one side of one room. So it's really interesting how they divide them up, and they each get 20 minutes at an event. And wow, everybody totally engaged. And also thank you for all the EAL supports that are being worked on. I think that's great when you can find them in a common place. Thank you. So thanks for sharing. So many exciting things happening in our division.
Any other comments? All right, seeing none, thank you, Mike, for that report. And you can move on to donations and support.
You bet. And again, we're very, very fortunate. We just had a presentation where they talked about a community member donating for a trip. You look at the donations that we have here, and some really significant donations, very meaningful, very helpful. And I know our schools are incredibly grateful. And then you look at the ICE scholarship and the amount of support that we get for that, and just awesome. So once again, Lethbridge just continues to support our schools at an incredibly high level, and we're just very grateful. And I hope that the people who do donate know how much of a difference it makes, because it does make a big difference for our kids. So yeah, thank you. And I can go into acknowledgements of excellence, yeah, because that's a nice segue. So Park Meadows Elementary, and I won't go through everything as per usual, but I'll tell you what really stood out here is really the concept of bringing the curriculum to life, and those enhanced experiences for kids. So grade 4 and grade 1 students, doing some environmental stewardship, working on water conservation, those sorts of things. And then they're creating a video presentation to showcase their learning, which is that real world learning, like having an audience and having to prepare for an audience and get your information ready. That opportunity to go to the Calgary Zoo and present in person, pretty cool stuff. You look at the pride values in the next paragraph, all about citizenship and how do we just help kids to take care of each other and create that kind of culture that we want at the school. Some fun things like students dress like a teacher and teacher dress like students days. Again, that speaks to culture. And then you look at the other one, Market Day, where kids are entrepreneurs and they have to create things and sell things. And if you've ever been to their Market Day, it is exciting. It's a real extravaganza. And again, bringing that curriculum to life, making curriculum meaningful, making literacy and numeracy actually connected to real world, and it's not just kind of what happens in the classroom. And that just jumps out at the page to me about this. And even the Genius Hour stuff, which is where students have an opportunity, they're learning, but they get to choose what they're learning and what they want to do. And again, just really connecting and making learning meaningful and exciting for kids. So yeah, pretty awesome stuff. And then Winston Churchill, we just had them here talking about the IB program, and I think you got a great sense of the culture and what they're trying to do with that IB program. And it really isn't just about IB. It's really about the entire school culture. And then you look at, the information that they share, and that just stands out again. Yes, there's some stuff about the IB art show. I was going to emphasize that, but I think they talked about that quite a bit. But if you look at this, you see all the different facets and experiences that students get at school and at Winston Churchill in particular, and opportunities for success, for kids to meet, for the school to meet kids where they're at. You can see examples of community service in there. And I got to just say, I go to Churchill and I see, for example, a number of times the archery students have been practicing, or the archery kids involved with that, and you've got community members there, and just how awesome of an opportunity it is and how passionate they are. So Winston Churchill certainly really does a good job of focusing on really what do students need and really personalizing the learning experience for kids. So you saw that in their IB presentation. You certainly see that in this presentation as well. And I will keep on rolling. Education Week, it's in here, was April 7th to 11th. And I just wanted to say, I know it was mentioned earlier, I just want to echo your comments, Andrea. A thank you to Tina for the work that she did so we could get some treats out to the schools. And also thank you to the trustees for making sure that happened, and also for being willing to take your time as well and to deliver those to the schools. I know it was noticed and appreciated, so wanted to say thank you for that. Then we'll get into calendar of events, and a few to add in here, and Tina, just a couple ones to add. May 7th, community conversations. May 12th, the board will be engaging with the policy consultant on policy work. May 21st, we also have the Edwin Parr Awards. And then May 23rd, we've got our first grad of the year, LCI grad. So we are 3 weeks away from grads occurring.
Yeah, we don't have the Wellness Committee on the 2nd. I will send out that date. That one is an error. I'm just.
And working conditions is on the 20th at 4 o'clock. 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock. It was moved so that we could all get to the Edwin Park the next day. It'll be a full day for you and I.
Thank you. Is that what you were going to speak to, Allison, or do you have another? Okay.
I was going to speak to the working conditions in Edwin Parr, but I have a question. So on this list of calendar of events for trustees is May 5th, Bus Driver Appreciation Day. So I'm just curious if there's some information that we should be receiving on are we participating in something for?
No,
that
it's
day?
just for an awareness
Just
that
to
if
know
you
it.
see, if
Okay.
you're out and about in schools, you see a bus driver, thank
Okay.
them. Yeah, we do, and I meant to mention it in my report, sorry. We do, in collaboration with Southland and Holy Spirit, we get them a little, every year, we get them a little token of appreciation that we give them. This year, they're getting some socks and some other tokens, so, yeah.
Sorry, were community conversations added to the 7th? Okay, sorry. It was, I was looking at the calendar and that at the same time. Thank you.
Morag.
We got lots going on. It's May. We have Digital Wellness Day on May 21st, and we'll be focusing on sleep promotion. So that's just another little heads up FYI for our division.
Thank you. And one of the things I wanted to underscore, I mean, and we just added probably 6 or 7 things onto the list, but look at that list. Like there's a lot going on in May. And so it's a good reminder for how busy trustees are, folks at the Ed Center and schools. There's just a lot going on this time of year. And it's always good because sometimes the public may not always realize just how much there's going on because we're doing the current year stuff, plus a lot of planning for next year. And then there's a lot of the wrap up celebrations and those sorts of things. So it's a busy time for everybody's, but it's such a great opportunity to celebrate so many of the great accomplishments of our students. So well worth the time. That's it for me.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. All right, we will now move on to board chair report. First 9.1, we have our welcome back event, and the welcome back breakfast has been a hosting tradition for the board and executive team to welcome all division staff back following the summer break into the new school year. And we've been doing a pancake breakfast the past few years. And this year's event is scheduled to take place on August the 29th, 2025 at Chinook High School. And so I'm just presenting this information to you, and I am looking for confirmation from the board in supporting this event to move forward this year. I'm seeing thumbs up around the room. It's going to be Christine Lee's last event. Extra syrup for you. All right, you can continue with the planning for that then. Thank you. All right, community conversations. Community conversations is an opportunity for the board to hear perspectives from stakeholders on issues of interest around education. And so our next one is scheduled for May the 7th, Wednesday, May the 7th, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. That whole the date and time have been on the website. But we have secured a location, and that location is Youth One. Youth One is a drop-in center on 13th Street North, very close to Winston Churchill, and they do lunch programming and as well as after-school drop-in and programming there. So we're thrilled to be able to host the community members as well as board members if you're able to attend, just to see the space that serves many of our students throughout the week. And so we hope to see you there, trustees, if you're able, and we welcome all stakeholders and community members as if they're able to come. Next is our Tim Hortons Smile Cookie campaign. I wanted to make sure that we heard about it today. We've heard about it a few times already. So here it is again. It's happening this week. If you are able to volunteer and decorate cookies, we would love to have you. And if you're able to support through purchasing and sharing cookies, we would love to have that as well. Everyone is welcome. Everyone has a place. And this campaign goes to support the Poverty Intervention Committee, which exists with funding from this committee exists to reduce barriers for students facing financial strain so they can find success in their learning journey in our division. And so certainly going to a good cause, and so spread the word and pick up a cookie as you drive through. Next, NSBA 2025, I had the privilege of attending the National School Board Association Annual Conference. It was held in Atlanta, Georgia, April the 4th to the 6th. And so what I've done is I've just provided a brief synopsis of the sessions that I did attend. I won't go through all of them. You're able to read through. And then if you would like to see the full session offerings, I have included a link in the bottom. And so certainly there was, I appreciated the learning. It was good to engage from trustees from the states and hear their stories and learn of what's happening in their division. So certainly I was able to take in some governance classes and a couple on elevating student voice on school boards and what elevating the student voice and hearing their voice in really the matter that impacts them the most. I certainly think there's a lot of work and opportunity we're able to do as a board and as a division to raise student voice and hear them better so they can impact their education journeys. Are there any questions? I've just been flying through, but are there any questions? Okay, seeing none. We are now on to 9.5 Budget Committee, and Allison, you asked for this to be pulled from the consent agenda.
I did, and it was a simple piece. Just for clarity, on May 27th at 1 p.m. it says board meeting for budget vote. My understanding is that we vote on the budget at the budget debate on May 26th. So I was just looking for clarity if that has changed for this year or if this needs to be.
No, you're correct.
Okay.
Debate, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
So Tina, can that be amended, please, for the online? Thank you. Thank you, Allison, for catching that. All right, we have completed our presentations. So now we are on to our action items, and we're on 11.2 Trustee Code of Conduct. I just need to find it. All right, I will open with the motion and then open to debate and conversation. So I would like to move that the board accept the following motion, that the second reading of the draft Trustee Code of Conduct policy be accepted as presented. In the memo, I put forward, I put a timeline of the work that we have done for this Code of Conduct policy, just for awareness of it. So conversation began in May 23 of 2023. It's before you. I'm not going to read the entirety of it. And so you can see the scope of the timeline of where we have worked on it. And the second reading of the draft Trustee Code of Conduct policy was brought forward in our March board meeting, the public meeting of the board, and this was tabled to today, to our April 29th board meeting, following a written submission of suggested significant amendments that were sent to board members via email. And so it was really imperative that the board have opportunity to review the email, the information sent, so we could have good conversation today. And so I'm bringing it forward today because it was tabled to today's meeting. And hopefully you have all been able to read the information that was sent on March 25th. And that can help us in our debate. And so I will open it for discussion. Jenny.
I appreciate the opportunity to continue the conversation with our code of conduct. In our last meeting, I shared my thoughts, evaluation of the draft, and had taken the time to go through the draft and type in my recommendations or my questions or areas that I thought the board should maybe have conversation, to have better understanding for myself around certain things. And I appreciate everyone that took the time to read through that. And the draft that is before us is largely unchanged from that draft. And so I still have the majority of those same concerns, being that the draft is largely unchanged. So what I'm looking for is better organization. What I see in the current draft is information that is important, but perhaps would be more effectively housed in a policy of the role of trustee, the role of the board. Some of it perhaps belongs in appendix. And also, my concerns are an unintended emphasis on and an inconsistency in the addressing of different topics within the code, because certain items are given such detailed attention and other things are addressed within a simple sentence or two. That's kind of what I mean with unintended emphasis, that some things are very heavily detailed and others are a higher level. And so some of those things I think perhaps might be better served within an appendix to the policy. So largely for myself, it's the organization of information, a desire for consistency, and then also there are some areas that I think are missing from the current draft as well. And so in that document, I also included a section at the end of areas that I think are missing in the document. Some of those things are addressing confidentiality, addressing, here, I'll pull up my last draft. Let's see here, I had, some of it was, so.
Jenny?
Yeah.
May I interrupt?
For sure.
Would it be helpful if Tina can pull up your draft so people can
Sure.
see? Would that be?
If the board finds that helpful, I mean, for my, yeah, sure. If people, I mean, these are my own opinions.
Of course.
I'm not
Okay.
trying to
So
be
okay.
overly represented on this.
Sure. Okay, then I'll let you continue then.
It's just something that I've recognized our the complexity and our ability to move forward on, and so it's my attempts to try to come to a place where we can get some forward motion on this. It's not necessarily me trying to write the code. So if that's helpful for people, I'm certainly comfortable with that. But something that was recommended to us is an integrity commissioner. That's something that I would like to have a conversation with the board about including into this policy. Also a section for violation. I don't recognize necessarily a section that addresses harassment. A harassment clause is something I've recognized in most code of conduct that I looked at. I looked at several, and most of them have something for either bullying or discrimination or harassment, and that seems to be missing in ours. Yeah, so missing sections, organization, presentation of the information, and consistency are areas that I think that we need to see improvement before I'm comfortable moving forward with this.
Thank you, Jenny. Are there any other comments? Christina?
I've been a big proponent for this, as noted in the memo. However, with the upcoming changes tabled for legislation, I'm currently concerned about moving ahead on this, frankly. Not because I don't think this is important, I don't think school boards should have the authority and responsibility to do this, but I've recommended delay on other policies that are currently being tabled for significant change prior, like that will be enacted as we move to the next board term. So I am currently concerned about moving ahead with this now, which I hate to say, frankly. I think this is important, and I think school boards need this and should have this. Yeah, that's where I'm sitting. I no longer know if we need to have a conversation on this, because I think that in all likelihood, this will no longer be allowed under our policies. So I am curious on people's feedback on that, on what is our due diligence here. I would have liked had we completed this, frankly, like 2 years ago when we started this process, but yeah, that's where we are now. So to be consistent with my approach to other policies that I think extend beyond our board term, I don't know if I'm any more in support of finishing this one. Yeah, but I'm not sure about that.
Sure. I'll respond briefly to it. I did connect with Brian Callahan, our policy consultant, on this. And the recommendation was to continue to move forward, because as of now, it has not changed. And so we need to work on a policy for today as we need. What he did do, an amendment that he did was he did remove 3.2.15, disqualifying the trustee from the board. The board members no longer have that within our code of conduct. He saw that as the most significant change. And so to be able to move forward with this, he removed that line from the conduct and felt that we can continue to move forward. And that was the direction that Brian Callahan has given. I'm not sure if that impacts your feelings toward this, Christina, but I just wanted to share that. Any other comments? Allison.
So I had comments in regards to the code of conduct, but I'll first address Christina's comments. I do think that what I understand from what's been brought forward for taking effect on October 21st, 2025, is there will be a portion added that will continue to support the current code of conducts that boards have. So I don't know that it's necessarily that there's stipulations of what needs to be in them. I think that this, I've said all along, I think that this goes far beyond what are the stipulations, but they have said that boards are fine to continue with having the certain stipulations that are laid out in the Education Act, and then these other parts will be added. But I do see your point in holding off until we know more of what that might look like. The concerns that I have brought forward previously, I'll continue to bring forward, and I know that Jenny had things within her document in regards to the Integrity Commissioner. So anywhere that in the document that it speaks to the board, or things going to the board chair, or things going to the division, that it should be changed to the Integrity Commissioner. And then I do support the things that Jenny has brought forward in the documents that she's presented.
Any other comments? Craig.
Well, I do think somehow we need to get through this. And we just can't stop. And I hope that we can get most of our policies set in place before the end of our term. I did notice that it seems like it's a little less confusing on the section 12. Other than what do we decide, 12.4, I'm still under, so I'll use this example. I bought this is my book. Now does this belong to the, no, is that the wording there? So in other words, anything that we're given from the board or from division is the property of the division. But if I write in here notes or anything, That's my personal thing, and it can't be given. Okay. I do agree that anything that we received as far as computers, laptops, tablets, smartphones, if we're given those, then they're the property of the division. And I have no right to stop the division from looking at what I've done with it. I agree with Jenny that some organizational things should be done on here. I'm not sure on the integrity commissioner if I want that as part of this code or if I want it in a different policy, or even what is it? Like if we're hiring another position at this time in the budget, I would be against it because it just doesn't make sense right now. I do agree with something along that line, but then who do you choose in the department, in our administration, to be an integrity commissioner? And then that causes another problem. I do agree with Jenny too that there wasn't a lot said about what are the forms of bullying or harassment and that stuff. I couldn't find it specific, but my view is that I think we should pass the second draft and then not taking up all of our time in May, but we could fine tune this, I think, within 15, 20 minutes with Brian in the room. And I think that's the important thing, because it can change from the second draft to the third draft. I think we just want to move ahead and get that. And I'm perfectly capable of supporting this for the second draft. However, I do want to take time at our May 12th meeting, I think it is, with Brian, and probably have this as the first and see if we can get through this with Brian and make the changes for organization and clarity, and then move on to the other policies. So that's my position.
Thank you, Craig. Andrea?
I acknowledge what Christina was saying and her concerns from what I've read lately. Thank you, Jenny, for all the work you put in. I did read through that and appreciate that. And that 12.4, that was one of my concerns at the last meeting. And so I appreciate that clarification that things like this that I take to meetings will be my private record, because I just use them at meetings to say things that have happened so you can share with parents. Now, Craig, were you saying you would like to see this go through, or you would like to see it worked on when we meet with Brian again and then do the second reading?
No.
Or get it through the second reading?
I would like to see the second reading passed today, because all it means is we're moving to the next stage. And if, with the understanding of the board, that we take the first little bit of the May 12th meeting and just fine tune this to the point where Jenny's happy, Allison's happy. I mean, let's be happy kind of thing. And, and just say, if we don't do it, then it delays that again. And we just kind of go around and around. If we pass it with the understanding that we're going to hopefully with Brian in the room, improve it to the point where everybody's satisfied, then we can then pass it as a third reading. And I understand Christina's feelings, but we just can't stop this. And it's pretty obvious that the one thing that most boards are going to have to eliminate is the elimination of a trustee from holding a position. So other than that, I'm fine with going ahead as long as we go ahead and discuss it on the 12th of May.
Thank you, Craig. Anyone else? Tyler?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out how we can move this forward, like what can we do and whatever. So but the majority of things for Jenny that I read were fine. They're fine with me the way they are too. So, but I get it, whatever. It's, if we feel it's better organized that way, that's fine. I'm good with that too. A couple little things do need some discussion though, I think. So I actually really like Craig's idea in moving it forward and putting it to while the policy consultant's here, because otherwise I'm very much struggling with how we're just going to move it forward. So I like that idea. I'm on board with that. I'm glad you brought that as an idea, and I think that's the way to go for me. I'm in agreement with Craig because I think that's probably the best way for us to get this to the finish line.
Thank you, Tyler. Allison?
Just to provide some clarity, I know, Craig, you spoke of the integrity commissioner and you're concerned about the budget and having somebody within our division. An integrity commissioner, and I've spoken to this before, is most organizations that are doing that have a lawyer on retainer for that, and it's laid out in that way. So it is not somebody within the division that is doing that. Yeah.
I appreciate that clarification. I'm happy with the lawyer as a integrity commissioner.
Jenny?
Just by way of example, Craig, you brought up, you said this is just one small thing, but you brought up a question around 12.4. And your question was around, okay, what is my property? And so my question then for you and for the rest of the board is that conduct? Is determining whether or not your property is yours or the division's, is that conduct? And how many things in this code of conduct are policies or procedures that are important but are not related to conduct? And if we are just using this as a dumping ground for important information, then we've misused it and abused it, and it's not an effective tool. And the reason that we're doing policy work was to make them effective. And if this isn't a policy that you can go to and immediately read what appropriate conduct is and is not, and find the resources for how to proceed if you have a concern, then what is this? And would you ever go to the code of conduct to try to understand whether or not you have to hand in your laptop at the end of your term? And so, as one example, this is why I'm concerned with this. I recognize the need for this to move forward, which is why I've put in the amount of effort and time I have into it. What I'm not interested in doing is moving it forward for the sake of the illusion of progress. Or I guess it is some progress in some form. For what I'm looking for, it's not progress, because we haven't, everybody said, hey, I think this is probably a lot of things you suggested I'm okay with, but we haven't changed anything. So I don't have any confidence that we're gonna move this through its second reading and then do the work, because that's what we said for the first reading. But no work has produced a different product. Work has been done, but we're still looking at exactly the same product. So are we now going to approve this because of fatigue or because it's a good product? Is my question.
Thank you, Jenny. Tyler?
Interested laptops are an interesting example because actually we don't turn them in at the end, so it's an interesting thing in how it all goes. So I don't know if it's the exception to the rule or what it is, but as far as anything like that goes, whether or not it's a product of the division, I can see where that is still related to conduct, because it's basically you're acknowledging that what is done here, if requested, you're going to turn it in. If required, you're going to turn it in. You agree to abide by that. You agree to conduct yourself that way. And I get that it's a nuance, and whether you believe that or not, or whether you believe that or it's different. But I can see where that still relates for me. And either way, it's not that big a deal. Like I said, I can run with this policy in either form. Honestly, I think it's more important that we have a code of conduct and that it is effectual. It can be effectual, as opposed to us just not having one. So I don't, like I said, personally, I don't have near as many issues with the policy as it is written. I could live with it the way it's written. I'm okay with it that way, and I feel like that we're better off to have the policy that we're supposed to have in place, as opposed to making it the most perfect trustee code of conduct that's ever been written. That's where I'm at.
Thank you, Tyler. Jenny, I appreciate the work that you've done and I do appreciate your perspective. And I know that one of the things you mentioned today is just your continued concern about it being heavily detailed. And okay, I'll address that one first. The concern around it being heavily detailed. And I just want to remind the board, we met with Yvonne Prefontaine, division lawyer, on February 11th, and we went through the policy, and he was there, and we brought forward concerns, and we went through sections and discussed, do we need detailed sections or do we need more brief sections? And so what is presented before us today is everything that the lawyer, that Yvonne Prefontaine has recommended the board move forward with. And that perspective comes from his legal expertise. It comes from risk management for litigation. And so then that is the perspective that our consultant has moved forward with this draft. So this is when we talk about we can be more brief and less detailed. This is the draft that our lawyer has recommended moving forward with because of litigation that has happened and because of litigation that is anticipated. So protecting us from risk for that. I think what was the other thing you brought up? Oh, thank you. Organization. Thank you, Jenny. So the organization of it, one of the things in this policy work is we want to be concise and we want to break things down. We want to shrink it down from 160 plus policies. However, one thing we also discussed as being a desire within this policy is for there to be clarity of expectation. And so I think if there's going to be a place of duplicity, this would be it. So people can come and say, okay, so returning the laptops has been the example. I don't know if someone would necessarily know where to go regarding where to look for that. But if it isn't here, yes, if you're breaking that expectation, it has to do with the code of conduct. So to me, I see it as it's actually clear when it's all together in one package. And that doesn't mean it can't be in another place. And I don't think it makes it redundant in another place. I think it just makes it more clear as it's all part of this. So that's my perspective coming into it. But I appreciate and welcome Craig's perspective of passing the second reading and being able to dialogue with Brian in the room, moving through this, and hopefully coming to a conclusion so we can continue the other policy work that we have going forward, because we do have a lot of policy work going forward. Allison.
So just in looking for some clarity and pieces in here. So on 12.4, can you, as the board chair, I know that you support this document, can you tell me who at the division I would be returning my stuff to, and what will the division do with those records when they're brought back?
Well, I would expect that anything with record that is given to me from the division would follow policy of how things would be kept and how things would be removed of. I don't know the exact person. I don't know if that exact person needs to be in this policy. I think it's easy to say, superintendent, who do we return this to? I don't think that needs to be specifically in our policy. It's we need to return it. Okay, we will return it. I don't see the need for that specificity in this. Jenny.
I think that this is a good example of what my concern is here, because I've sat on policy advisory committee now for almost 2 years, and this is often a pattern that we follow where someone says, okay, hold on, we've questions on this. And then nobody knows where to look for the answer for them. Because we go, well, we'll have to follow policy. And everybody goes, well, what policy? Well, I don't know. It might be a procedure, it might be a policy. And so what I see here, and I agree with you, I'm not opposed to detail, and I'm not opposed to this being a long code of conduct. I'm concerned that it's inconsistent and that we are detailed on certain things, but the wrong things, in my opinion. So what should be, to me, the predominant subject of conversation in a code of conduct is conduct. It should be about behavior. It should be, these are the expectations. These are the violations. Please look at the appendix to know how to proceed if there is a concern, right? That should be, to me, the predominant content of a code of conduct policy. But instead, those things are scattered throughout and almost hard to pick out, because we have a full page on gifts and we have a full page on division property. So we've heavily emphasized gifts and what's acceptable and what's not and how to handle them. We've heavily emphasized what to do and how to use division property, and not very heavily emphasized what we expect a trustee to be and how to be an honorable member of a board and how to govern honorably. And so we're missing the meat and potatoes. I'm not opposed to all those details about gifts, and I can see all your arguments. I can appreciate your arguments for why we should keep things in here. I can be convinced for sure, fairly easily, on anything anyone wants to keep in the code of conduct. I just think you need to be consistent, and it needs to be more of an actual code of conduct. It needs to be more about, this is what it means to be a trustee and to be a member of a board, and this is how you're expected to conduct yourself. And that's in here, but not easily identifiable. And so that's my concern on that. And that when we include things that are procedural, which is heavily incorporated into here, but we don't address it fully, we find ourselves in this same position where Allison is saying, well, what does that look like? And you're saying, I don't know, we'll follow policy. But what policy? And do we even know that policy exists? Because if we bring it up, we better be already prepared with a policy, but we don't know if we even are, right? And so we need to stick to the topic, and we need to know what we're talking about. And it doesn't necessarily need to be concise, but it needs to be consistent, and it needs to be with purpose. And so we aren't bringing up further questions that there aren't answers to. And so that's why I think things that are procedures, they need to be properly organized. Policies aren't effective unless they're organized well. And so that's my concern here, is that, yeah, this needs work. And I'm happy to do the work, but I do think it needs work.
Thank you, Jenny. Andrea?
Would you rather work on it with Brian and then bring it back in May?
I would, yeah.
Okay, did you have more?
Well, I was maybe going to make a motion to table it till May, till we had a chance to work on it, Brian, on Monday.
Okay, well, what I would like, we have a motion on the table. And I think if it passes, we will work on it with Brian in May. If it does not pass, we will work on it with Brian in May. Trustees have spoken twice. Tyler? Sorry.
I was just going to say, in regard to like Allison's concern, to me, that's really simple. Like everything we do can and should go through the superintendent. So at the end of every one of those sentences, it just says to superintendent or designate. So that Mike says, hey, at the end of the term, don't forget, you have to get your computers wiped, send those to whoever. Garrett's going to collect them, whoever. That's his designate. Everything becomes superintendent or designate. And that's how we roll through here, and that's how we go. Does it go to Jesse in technology? Great. He just lets us know. Like to me, it's that simple. because that's how it should be. We shouldn't be necessarily individually dealing with this person and that person, all these different people. And I get that, oh, where do we go? What do we do? But I think that's easily solved with superintendent or designate. I also agree, let's just, either way, there's a motion on the floor. Let's get it. I'm still on board with Craig. Well, either way, I think it's going to go there to policy day, because I just, in this going back and forth again, I don't know how we're going to move forward, so I think that's the only way we move forward.
Thank you.
Point of order.
Yes.
Can you tell me who made the motion?
I made the motion.
At the beginning? Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
I did. All right, the motion is all on the table. Those in favor? And those opposed? All right, and that is carried. Thank you. And we will put this on the agenda for our May 12th policy work. All right, we will move forward with 11.3 Memorandum of Agreement, QP 290. Christine.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to present to you that we reached a memorandum of agreement with QP 290 on April 14th, 2025. This is a 4-year term agreement, and the agreement is in compliance with the Public Sector's Employers Act and has been approved by the Public Bargaining Compensation Office of the Province of Alberta. QP 290 ratified this memorandum of agreement on April 16th with a vote of 88% in favor. And this particular, just high level, this agreement gives our QP 290 group, which is our caretakers and our laborers and our tradespeople in maintenance, a wage increase effective September 1st, 2024, 3%. September 2025, a $1.25 per hour or 3%, whichever is greater. September 1st, 2026, 3%. And then September 1st, 2027, $1.25 per hour, 3%, whichever is greater. That gives our group a range increase between 12.71% to 16.82% over the 4-year deal. And therefore, I'm recommending that the Board of Trustees approve this memorandum of agreement.
Thank you very much. Christina.
Great. So before I make a motion, I just want to appreciate Christine and the team who have made a significant effort to support our staff, work with the Government of Alberta, and have worked very fairly and hard to ensure that we are able to compensate our employees as best we can to the value of their work, which is so essential to the operation of this division. I will also want to say thank you to the negotiating committee from our employee side, from QP 290, who showed up every day with a lot of heart and effort to represent very fairly their colleagues, to work with us in good faith, and I just really appreciate the whole process. I learned a lot, and it was a really good opportunity to work really closely with such an incredibly important part of our school community. So thank you very much to everybody involved. So with that, I move that the memorandum of agreement between the Board of Trustees of Lethbridge School Division and the Canadian Union of Public Employees, number 290, dated the 14th of April, 2025, be approved.
Thank you. I'll open it up for discussion. Allison.
I want to echo the comments that Christina just made. I know that there was certainly a lot of work that went into getting to this point, and I appreciate all those efforts from all that were involved, and to see the strong 88% from our members, I think speaks that we do need to move forward with approving this, so I will be in favor of this today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Andrea.
I also echo your comments and appreciate the hard work that went into the negotiations, and especially for the members of 290 that came to the table. And thank you to Christine and Rhonda so much, and to Christine.
Thank you. Any other? Craig. Andrea, if you could just turn your mic off, that'd be great.
Just again, appreciation to all those involved in the negotiations on both sides. It's been a tough year in the province. And so I'm appreciative of being able to come to a contract that spans 4 years. I'm also aware that as much as we'd like to, we're bound by certain rules from the provincial government. And as much as I'm sure everyone on the board would like to give more, we're bound by that provincial body. And so I think we did a good job. And I appreciate the fact that we're trying to do the best we can for our employees. And so again, hats off to the negotiating committee.
Thank you. All right, the motion is on the floor. Those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. We'll move on to Memorandum of Agreement QP 2843. Christine.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, I'm very pleased to present a Memorandum of Agreement dated April 14th, 2025, reached with QP Local 2843. This is our educational support worker group that includes valued employees from educational assistants, school administrative assistants, library facilitators, student support workers, and as well as business support and administrative assistance. And so they support our schools and provide invaluable service. This agreement is in compliance with Public Sector Employers Act and has been approved by the Public Bargaining and Compensation Office. QP 2843 held a ratification vote on April 16th, 2025, and voted 73% in favor of accepting the Memorandum of Agreement. This memorandum agreement, similar to QP 290, has a 3% wage increase effective September 1st, 2024. September 1st, 2025 is $1.25 per hour or 3%, whichever is greater. September 1st, 2026, 3%. September 1st, 2027, $1.25 per hour, 3%, whichever is greater. Also, additionally, we were able to provide a market rate increase to our EAs, level 1 and 2 of 4.25% effective September 1st, 2026. And so this particular agreement over 4 years provides a range of 14.42% increase to 22.58%. And in particular, the EAs, because of the market increase, will receive a 20.99 to 22.58% increase. And so we were very pleased that we were able to increase our wages in this particular area. We had a really great negotiations and amazing relationship with both with 290 as well as 2843. And we're very fortunate for that relationship. So I am recommending the Board of Trustees approve this memorandum of agreement.
Thank you very much. I had the privilege of sitting on the negotiating team with Trustee Tyler Demers. And I just want to extend a sincere thank you to the members of QP who sat at the bargaining table. They represented their team well. They represented their members well. And it was good to hear their stories and their experiences and to learn how as a division we can be doing better, how as a board we can continue to support them. And certainly reciprocally, it was expressed the appreciation of our continuing positive and working relationship between the division and the QP. And so definitely pleased that we were able to come to a place where we can vote on ratification today. And I would just like to first say thank you again to Rhonda Oss, our Director of HR, and Christine Lee, just for all the heavy lifting and the hard work that you both did during the whole process in communicating with the government of Alberta and communicating with QP and in just ensuring that we were respectful in communication and honored our staff throughout the process as well as the division. So thank you for that. And we certainly look forward to continuing to move forward together as a division and as a board, I believe continuing to advocate for appropriate funding so that we can serve our staff and support our staff in a way that exemplifies the exceptional and the essential role that they play within our division and with students. And so with that, I move that the memorandum of agreement between the Board of Trustees of Lethbridge School Division and the Canadian Union of Pacific Employees, number 2843, dated the 14th of April 2025, be approved. And I open this up for discussion. Allison.
So same thing, I will echo the comments in appreciation to all those that sat at the negotiating table and did the hard work. I know it certainly wasn't easy, knowing that the members voted 73% in favor. I know that that's still a large number, and I know that some of those voted because they needed to get additional funds for their families, and I know that we still have a long ways to go. I will be supporting this today, but I certainly struggle knowing that we do have more work to do in this area. So those stories need to keep coming forward. We will continue to advocate in the ways that we need to continue to advocate as governors, and I appreciate the work that these staff do every day in our schools and with our students, and that's the same for QP 290. I didn't say that then, but I appreciate all the work that they do within our buildings and with our students. So, but I will be voting in favor of this and will be continuing to advocate for what's important for these, the staff of 2843. So thank you.
Thank you. Craig.
I'd like to thank everyone that was involved, both on QP and on our division. It definitely shows that we still have, as a division, advocacy to go through Alberta school boards, public school boards, and our local MLAs, that some of these wages are not adequate for the type of position they have and the type of work that they have to do, and that it's time for the province to recognize that. I'm appreciative of all of them, and as I've told many beginning teachers in my day of teaching, the most important people in your school are not the principal and vice principal, but your admin assistant and those that work in the office and your caretakers and your support staff. And I appreciate all the work that they do, because sometimes it's a lot of work without a lot of thanks. But I'm appreciative that they supported the contract, that they can move forward, we can move forward, and I echo Allison's comments that we will continue the advocacy so that some of these employees are paid what they're really worth and not what the government thinks. So thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Andrea.
I too so appreciate the work of our QP 2843 members and our 290 members in support of our students and staff. We just really couldn't do what we do without them. And thank you to everyone who sat on the bargaining committee. And I appreciate you so much. And advocacy, thank you for bringing it up, because moving forward, that will be so important for us to advocate. And thank you so much for the heavy lifting that you have done. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the motion is on the floor. Those in favor? And that is carried. Excellent. Thank you. All right, we move forward to 11.5 board budget belief statement. Christine.
Communicate to QPs for me that it was ratified. Okay, board budget belief statements. So each year, the board approves the belief statements for preparation of the budget. This is kind of our motherhood and apple pie, our values. We look to these when we're developing the budget. We look to it especially when times are tough. That's when we have to really rely on beliefs and priorities to make tough decisions. And so you were shown this once before, and so we're bringing it back again for approval, revision. So I'll leave that up to you and to go through.
Thank you very much. You've all been able to review the belief statements, and I will open it up for discussion. Craig.
Sometimes motherhood statements aren't the best thing to do, but basically, as I look through it, we're trying to balance the budget. We're trying to make sure we have as many staffing as possible in our schools. The one concern, and I don't think we're really following it, is the board believes in keeping division and school levied fees as low as possible. And so I do have a concern when we were going over the school fees, the difference and the between the different schools, and some of them, I did a quick calculation, and if you involve your student in 3 of the major sports, in some schools you're paying almost $3,000 or more. So I'm not sure we're following that belief as good as possible. I know it's there, but you know, it's a difficult one to do, and so I'm not sure how we rectify that situation. And we've gone over this last year, and this year we had a little more information, and I appreciate the work that Avis has done and the board's done, but it's still, there's such a wide variance in what's happening that it's still problematic to me. But other than that, I can support it, but it's too wordy for me, so.
Thank you, Craig. Any other comments? All right, seeing none, I'm looking for a motion. Christina.
I move that the board approve the Board of Trustees belief statements for the preparation of the 2025-2026 budget as presented.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. All right, 11.6, draft policy 402.11.2. Christina.
So many subpoints. So this is sort of a furthering of the policy advisory committee report from the consent agenda, as there is one action item arising. The policy advisory committee has been reviewing policy 402.11.2 as well as policy 303.3. Both of which are related to the growth, supervision, and evaluation of various staff groups. There's an additional policy 402.11.1, different from point 2, about teachers. And there is, we've worked through the support staff one. That one is either ready for review and discussion by the board, or we have an additional option on the table because we have so much time to talk about things. We have 3 staff groups. We have 3 policies relating to this, the growth, supervision, and evaluation. There was discussion at the policy advisory committee. Do we want to have one umbrella policy, knowing that in this board's term has been of interest many times, to condense policies where appropriate. So we requested that this point of discussion come to the board for direction before the committee continues work on any related policies. So before you, you have the support staff growth, supervision, and evaluation, policy 402.11.2. This one is by all counts from the policy advisory committee, ready to rock if that's what we're comfortable with. It has been reviewed by stakeholders. It has received numerous rounds of edits. But also before you is a non-policy advisory committee reviewed copy of an exemplar provided by the superintendent of a umbrella policy that we could take back to policy advisory committee to review if the board prefers a condensed version of those 3 copies. So that one has not been covered by the committee. It would still need to go back there, but we would like direction before we do so. And Mike can continue.
Yeah, and I'm happy to make some comments because, I've sort of, with the discussion of the advisory committee, I've put together some of this and happy to have conversation about it. Obviously, first we have our regular process. So certainly the board has the option of approving, those changes today. That can be in policy and then it can always be changed later. The two different versions of policies that we've given you is the first one is the shortened overarching growth supervision and evaluation policy. And again, the concept as we've been discussing is as it relates to policy for the board that we want to start off broad. So with why does this policy exist? And then we get narrow and it's really up to the board to decide how narrow and detailed do we get? Where are we comfortable leaving that to operations when we stop defining things on policy, and then that gets more clearly defined in administrative procedures. And so where are we comfortable with operations reasonably interpreting what the policy says? So sometimes in policies you want to get pretty detailed and there's some areas you really want to dive down on. Other times you want to stay pretty broad and allow a fair bit of latitude. I would say, and it's okay for you to disagree with me and not say we don't want to go in this direction, that's perfectly fine. I would suggest that the first one, the shortened overarching growth supervision and evaluation policy, in this case is probably needs wordsmithing and changing, but this concept is probably the direction that I would recommend. It starts a little broader with why do we do evaluations, and then it basically says from the board that there's three things you should do: growth, supervision, and evaluation, and then really leaves a lot of that up to the administrative end, which generally speaking, evaluations are more administrative and that is more of an administrative function. And this would be the board just saying, here's some things that are important to us. If you look at the combination of three policies, all we did was we just took the three different policies, the support staff, teacher policy, and then administrator policy, and put them into one policy so you saw what that looked like. Part of the challenge as it relates to, there's some things with teachers in particular that are required by government policy that aren't necessarily required for support staff, and then administrators are a little different. Each one of the groups is a little bit unique, but there's some overarching concepts in terms of growth, supervision, and evaluation and what those processes look like. And it really is for the board to consider how much detail do you want to get into. You can see the difference when you look at the combination of three policies. There's quite a bit more detail there versus the sort of overarching policy. So I think what we discussed just very quickly with the Policy Advisory Committee, because as we worked through this, we realized maybe we do need to look at giving you some different options rather than just updating each policy individually. And so if you're comfortable with this, if you want to give us some direction of, hey, we like this policy, so we do like the overarching one, the bit of the shorter one, then we can go back and adjust that, make it a little better, bring it back to you. If you like the combination of the three policies and you want to keep it detailed, I'll question you a little bit on some of that, but at the end of the day, the board has that right, and certainly then we could go back and work on that. Or you could just say tonight, you know what, just do the support staff, growth, supervision, and evaluation, and that's it. We can do a little bit of a combination of those. So we're open to whatever guidance and happy to answer any questions that you might have. And if you want us to embark down this path, I think there's a general interest in the Policy Advisory Committee to do some of that work and give it a whirl. So just open it up for any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your work putting these two options together for us. Tyler.
On the singular policy, the work's been done. I'm good with approving that because it's been done, but I am completely in favor of an umbrella overarching policy, but I'm good with getting this one done now because it'll be on the books. That one is going to take a little bit of time. So that's basically where I would be in this, is I would like to move forward and approve the work that's been done. But yes, I think we definitely should explore, couldn't get my words there, explore an umbrella policy to do it all. Because yeah, for something like this, just in our policy, it doesn't need to be that detailed. There are rules that exist with teacher evaluation, staff evaluation, all those things, and that resides in HR.
Jenny.
I was able to be there with Christina for this and Mike for this journey with these policies. And so I appreciate you both representing that conversation very well. And I am fully in support of moving forward with a combined policy and allowing the policy advisory committee to have a look at that and to send it through the same process that we send our policies through with stakeholder input. And that it allows, like Tyler's saying, for effective separation of governance and operations. As far as approving or not approving the other policy, I appreciate, what I appreciate is that the work that was done on that one is reflected in the exemplars. So I don't feel like that's wasted, whether we approve that one or not is I'm happy to go either way. I'm happy to approve it, but I think what's important is that work has translated into these exemplars. And so I appreciate that. And I think that as this goes back to Policy Advisory Committee, they're going to recognize that, and it's going to make it quick and painless to complete. So thank you.
Craig.
I guess I'd like to have some clarification on some things. And I feel that the clarifications that I'm asking should be in a in-camera part of this meeting, because it affects some of our employees within our administration office. And so I would just like to have a discussion about the, growth and supervision evaluation policy, because it affects a lot of our employees, but I don't feel comfortable discussing it openly until I get some clarification from Mike in an in-camera portion. So I'm proposing that we go in camera.
Right, prior to this, can I have a motion to extend the meeting past 6 o'clock? Craig, thank you. Those in favor? And that's carried. Did you make a motion? Sorry.
I move that we go in camera.
Okay. Craig has made a motion to go on camera. Those in favor? And that's carried. Yeah, it was unanimous. So we will move in camera. All right, thank you very much. Christina?
So thanks for the discussion. I think just in the interest of time, I've got a sense of where we're at. So I'd like to make a motion. We can finish discussion and then go forward. Okay. So I'd like to move that we accept the policy 402.11.2 support staff growth, supervision, and evaluation as presented. And that we direct the policy advisory committee to work on a condensed staff growth, supervision, and evaluation policy.
Excellent, thank you. Jenny?
I just know that there was one word in here that at Policy Advisory Committee, we just weren't quite sure on, and so we just thought we'd see what the board thought, and that is just normally in number 2 under regulations. The growth-oriented process shall normally, and we just kind of tossed around whether or not we should have that word in there, and we thought, well, we'll send it to the board and see what they think, and so I just draw the board's attention to that to see what the board feels of that word.
I think normally is quite standard. I'm comfortable with normally. Yep. Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, those in,
Can I, sorry,
Yes.
can I discuss my own thing?
Yes.
While we're doing it, I just want to say a specific appreciation to our QP 2843 and 290 members, Maggie and Anna, who are on that committee. They did a ton of work on stakeholder engagement for that support staff committee, support staff policy. So just wanted to shout them out before we approve.
Thank you very much. Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. 11.7 non-union staff. Tyler.
In the wake of all the settlements happening today with our QP unions and a ratification vote coming for ATA as well, in the coming days, I thought it was important that we just discuss a little bit in regard to our non-union staff, just to make sure they know they're still on our radar. We're still thinking about them, talking about them, appreciate them as well. So in that, I would actually like to bring forward a motion that I move that the Lethbridge School Division provide non-union staff wage increases as follows. Effective September 1st, 2024, 3%. Effective September 1st, 2025, 3%. Effective September 1st, 2026, 3%, and effective September 1st, 2027, 3%. And I know there's still lots going on with budget currently, and not all the union contracts have even settled. But I just thought it important that we at least bring it forward and put it kind of on the books this time that we're still thinking about our non-union staff.
Thank you very much, Tyler. The motion is on the table and I open it for discussion. Andrea.
I so appreciate you bringing this forward. I think it's so important for our non-union staff to know that we're thinking about them. With so much budget yet to talk about, I would like to move to defer your motion to the board budget meeting of May 26th.
Thank you. A second motion is on the table to defer the first to our budget meeting, and I will open it up for discussion. Craig.
I appreciate Tyler bringing forth the motion and that, again, showing our consideration and our concern and our appreciation for all of our non-union employees. And I do appreciate Andrea bringing forward just to defer, because as we go through the budget, then it becomes a little clearer, but I'm pretty sure it'll go forward. But I just would like to have that additional time to look at what the government's given us for the budget and to be able to make a good decision. But I do appreciate both parts of it, and I'll support the deferment.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Tyler.
On Andrea's motion, I have no problem with that. I know it's there's, like I said, there's still lots going on, and all our contracts haven't settled yet. and the budget discussions coming up, and that's fine. So I'm not at all opposed to that. In fact, I could even support that. So that's no problem. Like I said, I just wanted to make sure that we've got it out there that publicly we're moving forward and we're doing things for us, also for our non-union staff.
Excellent. Thank you, Tyler. Any other comments? So for Andrea's motion to defer, those in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. So that will be placed on our board budget meeting agenda. All right. We will move forward to number 3. We're rounding up to the end of our public meeting. Division highlights. Allison, let's start with you today.
Thank you. So I would like to congratulate our Emmanuel Christian Secondary School Eagles, the girls basketball team, for winning to a provincial, for being the champions for that, as well as our Special Olympic World Winter Games participant winning silver in Italy, Mariah Vantland. Lots of hard work is put in at those athletic levels, and I think that congratulations should be shared for them, and I know that they're going to be invited to our next meeting, so I appreciate that. As well, a highlight for this past month was being able to have the opportunity to go have lunch with the staff at General Stewart, and I had them on my list a couple of years ago as being the rep for their school, and it's always just going back to a small school is just such a great feeling to be in that room and to be chatting with the staff and to hear and talk with them about their successes and their concerns. So it was great to have that opportunity, even though it was a quick opportunity, it was still a great opportunity for us to have lunch with the staff there. And then this past weekend was the ASCA conference and AGM, so I will have something for the next board meeting. And we did have a few parents that participated in that, so to be able to, it was fully virtual, so to be able to connect with them virtually and be texting and emailing with them throughout the conference and AGM was great to be able to connect with them and to be able to support those that did want to have the opportunity to attend the ASCA AGM and conference. I appreciate them putting in the 2 days, and Sunday certainly was a long day. So I will share at the next meeting my comments from that. So thank you.
Thank you. Andrea.
I too loved having lunch at General Stewart School and appreciated how beautifully the gym was decorated with all the artwork for us. It was a lovely occasion. The ICE Scholarship Showcase was wonderful. And again, thank you to Christine and Garrett for all of your work, and Christine Light for being there, and Mike and Craig. And just so amazing to see the student projects and listen to their presentations. It was wonderful. During Education Week, it was so nice to visit so many schools. I was privileged to take chocolates for other trustees to schools, and sometimes it was a school that I'd had before, so it was really nice to reconnect with them. And thank you again to Tina so much for getting the chocolates ready for us for Education Week. Another thing that I was so excited to take part in during Education Week were the ATA teacher surprise presentations. 4 teachers in the division and their classes were surprised by being honored by a student or a parent or another teacher. So I was at Plaxton and Park Meadows and GS Lakey and Chinook, and a big shout out to the ATA for these. We partnered with them and it was so wonderful. To Panago Pizza for being there every time, to Kona Ice for being there every time, and for Garrett being there to cover them every time. Every day I would say to Garrett, see you tomorrow, same bat place, same bat channel, like, because we went every day to those, and it was wonderful to see the excitement of the kids when we got to say, you're having a pizza party, and they're looking at you and you go, right now. And they just, love that. Garrett, I was just saying how much we enjoyed being at the ATA presentations, and thank you to you, to you for being there to cover them. That was so great. And then the Epic Showcase that I hadn't been at before, the career development, that's an amazing program. Thank you to Judy Stolk-Ingram for the invitation. I went to my elementary schools and gave out Easter racers to every class, so that's always fun. They still want me to cackle like a witch. They still know that's me, so there was a little bit of cackling going on. And finally, on the very last afternoon, Mike and I got to judge air band over at Proby, and what a nice way to head into Easter holidays, getting to see those kids. So that was great. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Andrea. Jenny.
I will highlight our teachers and administrators in our division who give space to listen to the ideas of students and to let those students grow in confidence and experience when they get to explore those ideas and try to make them into reality. And I see that often in our division. And more recently, this past month, one of my own kids, there's elementary school, there was a friend of hers that was trying to sell something out of her locker, and everyone at the school is always trying to sell homemade stuff out of their lockers, and they get shut down. And so she had an idea of, why don't we have a market? Let's have a market. We can all sell our stuff. And she went to the principal and presented the idea, and we have an environment in our division where our administrators and our teachers support that in our students, and it breathes confidence into these young kids, these elementary age kids who have big ideas, and when they have adults in positions that these kids really respect, tell them that it's a good idea, and then put in the time and the work to show them that it's a good idea. It changes kids, and it does a lot for them, and it was neat to see that happen, and I see it happen often in our division at every level, and with my own kids, and also with the schools that I've had the opportunity to be a liaison for. Somebody will have an idea, and it's neat to see it develop and become a reality. And I saw that at one of the schools that I'm a liaison for. There's a new mural in the hallway that I've been able to be a fly on the wall and watch the process this year of how that happened. And so just to highlight and celebrate the fostering of ideas and breathing confidence into our developing youth in our division.
Great. Thank you so much, Jenny. Christina, you're good? Craig.
Yeah, I was excited to go to the Emmanuel Christian Elementary School Spring Program. It was such an uplifting program, and I have to take my hats off to the teachers there, because when you got kindergarten kids in front of 500 or 600 people and they have to stand there or sit for an hour and a half, they were pretty well behaved. So I was able to do that. At General Stewart, I went to the lunch and I got a surprise hug from a former student that's now teaching in our division. And I won't embarrass her by saying her name, but it was so much fun. I didn't recognize her, and it was fun to see her. And then I'm glad that she's following in her mother's footsteps. Her mom was a teacher for 40 years. So then I was able to go up to the public school board's meetings on the 9th and 10th and 11th of April. And on the 9th, it was just a wonderful experience. We had 22 MLAs from the provincial government show up and talk with us. And to be able to have 40 minutes with Nathan Newdorf was really good. And, you know, his concern is that the government would like to put more money into education, but with the growth of schools and building schools, it's just tough. They recognize there's some issues that are hindering schools, but they want to keep solving those problems. Got to talk with the Minister of Education, the Minister of Infrastructure, who announced that he got he was really excited because he told us he got another extra, I think, $280 million to pass out for some things this year, which was good. And just to be able to talk to some of the other MLAs, just to pass on our concerns. And it was a very effective meeting, and I think we'll be doing it again. I will be reporting later on some of the stuff that we learned at PSBAA, but it was just a good, again, a good PD sessions, 4 fantastic people that presented, and then our meeting. And so I was really glad I went up there. District School Council I went to, and then the only one that I wanted to do, and I registered, but I had internet problems, was the podcast from Janet Brown on the Public School Board's survey that we asked her to do on the state of public education and what people think of it in Lethbridge. But each of you got a copy of that, so I'll leave it at that. Other than that, just enjoyed Easter.
Thank you, Craig, and thank you, everyone. For sharing your highlights. I was able to go to the ice showcase, and it was a really incredible event, as it is every year. We have some very talented, imaginative, and gifted students, and I can already anticipate my highlight for next month is going to be hearing presentations of the projects of the submissions for the ice scholarship. That highlight is to come. Moving forward in our agenda, we have no information items, no correspondence sent. There's correspondence received from Alberta Education advising us of our project approval for a school capital project on the west side, our new West Side Elementary School. So that letter is included there for you. And so now at 6:15, I would like a motion to please move us back into in-camera. Andrea, those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much.